Couple of pretty flowers is what I brought to you. I saw you through a broken window with a different point of view. You had signs of depression from a long line of sin in your face. Tells a story about the place you have been. I love you so. That muddy water's flowing, and as you take my hand past the creek down by the hollow, through your daddy's land, and I could buy you a diamond, but I cannot change your world, 'cause I ain't got no money, and you'll never be my girl. Thought you should know. You was gonna be a singer and a big movie star, but you can't catch no breaks. And Hollywood is hollow. Now you work down at the timeout off of 155, and you're dancing for your dollar, just trying to stay alive. It hurts me so. I thought you should know. And you feed your addiction with your crystal meth, and I plead for your life as it takes you to your death. You make a deal with the devil as your looks begin to fade. I saw you laughing through the tears as you slowly slipped away. I watched you go. I thought you should know. Yeah, I watched you go. I thought you should know.
ambient noise, yeah.
So now you're grabbing some BandLab clips.
Yeah.
Now for me, that would also be something where I would use like volume automation and like bring that from the bottom, like bring it in and then bring it back out.
And these are the kinds of sounds you can stretch. With this AI, like stretching it actually can be cool.
Oh, that was perfect for the interlude too.
Ends it right in the right
I
spot.
didn't even notice. 40. I didn't even realize the texture faded out at the interlude until it happened. I'm like, wait a minute.
Sometimes you just, it was just meant to be that way. All right.
Time for another episode.
For talking some shh. And tonight with Jake, special guest Jake Zeke.
Yes, perfect guest for what we're going to be talking about. Love songs and songwriting.
Oh yeah, good topic.
Yeah, and that was a great song to start with as an intro.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jake, volume. Can you hear?
Volume's a little bit low, yeah. I think when the effect came off.
Oh, it took his voice.
That's better.
I can hear you, but it's way in the distance, and I'm also getting that echo.
That's better. Let me mute and see if the echo goes away. There you go. Yeah, so excellent little live performance on the way into the show. We enjoyed that a lot.
A little bit better.
Oh,
That's a lot better.
It's a little better.
Sorry about that. No, it's a little weird coming from the audio bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and getting the audio situated is always the battle here.
But we get it squared away there. And I like the combination with the guitar as well. I mean, both sounds together. Were they both coming through just the mic, or was the guitar mic'd up coming through the bridge as well?
So everything's just directly through my DAW here. I got a Mac, guys. I got a Mac.
So you got an excuse.
Listen, it changed my world really when it came to the music side of things. You guys know how I am with Mac. It is not my thing. I have always avoided it at all costs.
Well, there are some advantages on the music side. You can consolidate audio devices and things that.
It's hugely beneficial. Like I literally just click a button and it sends all my audio directly from my mix bus. And so that's what you're getting it from. That's why it sounds a little bit better when it's working properly.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Now,
always good to configure it, right?
Now, being on the Mac, the big question is Logic or Pro Tools.
I'm using both right now. So I use them both
good
for
answer.
very different things. Pro Tools I like for the singer-songwriter side. But as far as like beat mixing and like top-overs or things like that, I like Logic a lot better. It's a little bit easier to flow. It's a faster flow in Logic. Pro Tools is definitely for the writing side. Logic is definitely easier for sampling, building beats, building that side of it. That's my opinion. There's people that use it the complete opposite way.
Oh, and some people are happy with GarageBand when it comes to the beat making and looping.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, GarageBand and Logic have the same AI drummers and things like that. They're the same exact. So there's really not a difference between GarageBand and Logic as far as I'm concerned. Just one is more compact.
Yeah,
I liked GarageBand a long time ago, but
for me, the compelling reason to go from GarageBand to Logic, GarageBand doesn't export stems. not easily. You got to do one at a time.
Yeah, like I said, they've all got the caveats, but you got to think the GarageBand is like I said, it's great for the iPad. So if you're like on the go and you're trying to build something really quickly, and you're just like, hey, I got this musical idea, it's fantastic for that. You're not going to load up Logic on the iPad. And so GarageBand definitely serves its purposes, and everything from GarageBand, you load it directly into Logic. It does break down immediately. So there's that side of it. It's designed to work together. I mean, everything that Mac is all one ecosystem anyway. So if you don't utilize the full ecosystem, you're just cutting your legs off.
Yeah, that's always been the thing with Mac. Like, you got to appreciate the ecosystem.
Very much so. And
Otherwise, you're stuck in it.
But Thunderbolt 4 is phenomenal. The audio drivers are absolutely amazing. I love my Mac for creative. I still work on my PC for all of my coding and IT work. But as far as music is concerned, man, I'm sold on it. I'm honestly 100% sold on it, and I don't want to go back.
Now, I'm still getting an echo here. The effects are still turned on. Can you flip those off, and let's see if that fixes the echo.
Actually, I don't hear it, but let me mute myself and see if you still hear it while he's talking.
Test. No, I think Glenn might be the echo. Now I don't hear anything. I don't hear anybody.
Well, I'm here. I'm just staying muted.
There we go. Yeah, I think the echo is coming from your side, Glenn.
Okay. So, like right now, you hear it with just me.
Check. Nope, I hear myself come back.
Now I hear an electric noise that just kicked in. That one. He just turned it down. But I don't hear anything. I don't hear what you're saying, though.
Yeah, now he's not getting any mic. Feel like a conductor. Come on, Jake.
The noise came back up. Oh, now the noise cut. Now it's back. Now, we also have some videos lined up for us for tonight, so we can even get into some of those and come back to doing some more sound stuff as well.
Yeah, one of the things we were going to look at last week we didn't get a chance to was headphones, and specifically headphones that are good for mixing and mastering, which is a different beast.
Yep. And it's something that you got to be able to hear everything well represented in the soundscape.
Yeah, and me and Jake were kind of talking about this a little before the show, but we'll check this out and see what they say, and then I'd like to tap Jake's brain on that. Sounds
good.
So this is the best studio headphones in 2023.
Ten best studio headphones in 2023. Music production, recording, and mixing all need extensive listening sessions. You'll be doing a lot of listening in the studio to ensure our music recordings sound flawless on every platform. This is where you need the best studio headphones. Studio headphones provide clear audio reproduction. However, there are many studio headphones on the market right now, and it can be daunting to find the best ones for your next recording. In this video, we will cover the key factors to consider when purchasing studio headphones, discuss our top 10 picks of studio headphones, things to consider when buying studio headphones. Usage. Perhaps you're interested in headphones that can serve as a mixing and monitoring tool. There are also headphones designed specifically for studio recordings and monitoring. Therefore, first and foremost, you must determine why you need studio headphones. Mixing engineers, music producers who also mix, and generalists who can do it all, require studio headphones. Appearance. Based on physical appearance, there are 3 types of studio headphones: open back, closed back, semi-open. The design of open-back headphones allows the built-up pressure of sound inside the headphones to escape. These headphones are best for mixing, as the open-back design prevents any internal audio reflection and results in more precise frequencies. Closed-back headphones provide an enclosed sound chamber. Vocalists, in particular, use these headphones to monitor how they sound to their audiences. The real benefit of closed-back headphones is that they block out more ambient noise than open-back headphones. Therefore, most audio professionals use closed-back headphones for studio recordings. Semi-open headphones have a vent in the back that lets out excess pressure, so they aren't as loud as open-back. You can use them for mixing and monitoring. Accuracy. Your expertise and equipment will determine the final sound of your mixes. You can't get a professional sounding mix without equipment that gives you precise frequency readings. So, think about the frequency response flatness of the headphones you're considering for audio mixing and mastering to get a perfect mix. Noise isolation. When shopping for headphones to use in a studio, noise isolation is paramount. The driver of studio headphones is typically padded with foam for isolation. This foam prevents the headphone's sound from escaping into the outer world and isolates the headphone's sound from any ambient noise. Recording studios need a high level of isolation. Comfort. Being a professional music producer requires many hours glued to the mixing board and monitor. Consequently, ease of use is just as vital as other factors. If you plan on using headphones for an extended period, you want to make sure you choose a comfortable pair. Sensitivity. The greater the sensitivity, the more impressive the sound quality. Choose headphones with a greater sensitivity if you want to hear every detail. Wired or wireless. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth have quickly become standard wireless connectivity options, and they're a great replacement for wired headphones. However, wired headphones are best for usage in a recording studio. Some headphones allow you to disconnect the cord from the studio headphones. It is because wireless connections may not be compatible with most professional studio equipment because of typical latency issues. It's also worth noting that wireless transmission sometimes results in signal compression, so you may not obtain the purest possible sound quality. Impedance. The lower a headphone's impedance, the greater the sound quality, even when supplied by a relatively weak source. Headphones require higher power with a high impedance if they are to play back high-quality audio. Driver. While the size of the driver is still important to consider when purchasing headphones, the material utilized to create the driver has a greater impact on sound quality. Top 10 studio headphones on the market. Beyerdynamic DT990 Pro over-ear studio monitor headphones. These are the overall best on our list, and with good reason. They have received praise for their sturdy construction. The DT990s from Beyerdynamic is rather stylish among studio headphones. Fabric that looks and feels like suede covers the ear cups. The headband's cushioning cover is fashionable and removable, while the band itself is constructed entirely of metal. Featuring an open back design, the DT990 Pro are circumaural headphones. The depth of tone and sense of openness is superb. The little increase in bass and treble guarantees a nice sound. Moreover, there is a noticeable increase in the treble without any harshness, and we noticed that the bass is not overemphasized but is quite accurate. They are suitable for mixing, mastering and recording. Audio-Technica ATH-M50X Professional Studio Monitor Headphones. They are mostly plastic, while the headband is notched metal and has foldable and adjustable hinges. The ear cups have a closed back and can be rotated 90 degrees from the neutral position, and the arms may fold with the device. The bag provides slight protection against minor scrapes. These headphones may be a little cumbersome to use, but their realistic style makes them suitable for any environment. The audio produced by the headphones is vibrant and full of life, but the additional bass punch and weight make them unsuitable for mixing. In addition, although the mids are evenly distributed among the spectrum, the highs are a touch boosted. Excellent bass and mid-range combine to provide a strong effect. The soundscape is expansive and, compared to similar headphones, rather good. Anybody who has to track or monitor for extended periods will appreciate the ATH-M50X's ability to protect their ears from the damaging effects of exposure to excessive treble. Beyerdynamic DT770 Pro 80-ohm over-ear studio headphones. They are a good buy for the money since they provide generous helpings of tried and true Beyerdynamic quality, neutrality, and use. Professionals find its open, detailed sound, good isolation, modular design, and soft, cushioned velour earpads appealing. They were designed specifically for use while recording instruments and voices. Although they don't pivot or fold, the ear cups may be adjusted vertically by around 40 degrees and horizontally by about 20 degrees to provide a secure fit on various head sizes. The level of tightness in the headband is just right for this purpose without being so tight that it causes discomfort after prolonged use. Regardless of volume, the DT770 has a distinctively Beyer sound. The closed-back design gives them a little bass boost and emphasizes the highs, which may sound grating when playing very sibilant records. The plush velour upholstery isolates you from the world and allows you to immerse yourself in the music fully. AKG Pro Audio K240 Studio over-ear headphones. They are an amalgamation of vintage and cutting-edge aesthetic preferences. The cans have a bit of a 1970s vibe thanks to the self-adjusting dual headrail design that many people might have seen but aren't for everyone. Furthermore, a big AKG logo is gold on the headband, and there are LR indication labels on the adjustment points on both sides to help with alignment. In terms of convenience and ease of use, the K240 Studio excels. Light clamping force and a lightweight design make these cans comfortable to use for long listening sessions, even if you need to wear glasses. The self-adjusting headband, a trademark of AKG headphones, contributes its weight, or lack thereof, to the equation by adapting itself to the wearer's head. The ear cups don't do a great job isolating your ears from ambient noise since they're vented at the back, letting air, and consequently sound, flow through. We were impressed with the K240's rich, expansive, and organic sound. The sound was very clear, with lots of detail audible across the board and a soundstage that was expansive enough to make us grin. Sony MDA7506 Professional Large Diaphragm Headphones. They have a different fit than many other modern studio headphones since they are relatively thin. The drivers and the ear cushions are quite close together. The vinyl-wrapped ear cups may become hot, but the headphones nevertheless provide a good seal and a comfortable fit thanks to the adjustable clamp and little pressure from the foam-lined headband. The coiled wire looks sturdy, but its weight makes it seem like it might pull apart modern electronics. Avoid letting it rest in a way that may cause it to pull on or pressure any plugs or cables. Setting up the MDA 7506 is a one-time deal. You can forget about it once you have done that. The bass, mid-range, and treble are balanced, reproducing all musical styles faithfully. So it's no surprise that the MDA 7506 is a go-to for audio pros for recording and mixing anything from music to radio to film and television. So if you're an audiophile on a budget, you'll like these headphones. Hi-Fi Man Aria. The Aria is designed for and will appeal most to music lovers, especially those who see this caliber of equipment as a long-term financial investment rather than impulse buys for themselves. Incredible to look at and wear. The Aria are open-back, circumaural headphones that are based on the design of the now iconic SHHhhh I.T and have ear cups that are somewhat asymmetrical to better fit the contours of a person's ears. There may not be any organic components, but using metal and high-quality polymers ensures that these items are both lightweight, long-lasting, and high-quality. The Aria has faultless performance, including frequency response and tuning, tonal balance, and dynamics. Right now, they're up there as one of our all-time favorite products since they have almost no flaws when purchased as is. The soundstage's breadth is greater than typical. Resolution, accuracy, speed, detail, and dynamics are all top-notch, as is the sense of space and imaging. Aria is very proficient at all kinds of music. One Audio Pro 10 wired over-ear headphones. They have a rather simple design but seem modern and chic. There's a lot of padding in the large, rounded ear cups. Most of these cups are plastic, but they have a shiny metal-like finish on the sides and the One Audio emblem in the center. The headband has cushioning on the inside to make it more bearable. The headband is soft and pliable, you can twist it easily, and it has a leathery feel. The One Audio logo sits above a leather-like finish on the headphone's top, giving them an upscale appearance. The headphones' hinges connecting to the ear cups further increase their already impressive degree of adaptability. Because of the hinges, they can be folded up and stored in a pouch or a bag with ease. It provides a clean sound with deep bass and crisp highs, making for a satisfying listening experience. However, given that its intended use is for the studio, a broad soundstage or well-balanced audio isn't necessary. Instead, you'll hear a punchy bass and piercing highs. The headphones are also great at reproducing the mid-range. You can hear them without being intrusive or annoying. Audio-Technica ATH-M20X Professional Studio Monitor Headphones. They look fantastic. They are composed of plastic with an oval shape to the speaker enclosure and weigh slightly under 190 grams without the cord, which is little. While it's true that the headphones cord isn't removable, this is very standard for headphones in this price range. They were constructed with durability in mind, thanks to the copious usage of sturdy plastic. The ear pads and headband are of Rexine, a leather cloth fabric that is embossed to seem like leather and is both soft and sturdy. The sound from the headphones is powerful and crisp. It has no distortion and delivers a balanced sound. The headphones' ability to reproduce high frequencies is also impressive. However, unlike the bass response of most commercial headphones, which isn't boomy, this pair can sound good. Overall, the soundstage is solid but not outstanding. Focal Listen Professional Closed Back Circle Aural Headphones. The ultra-plush microfiber ear pads make these headphones ideal for extended listening sessions. You can't expect top-tier materials everywhere at this price point, but the materials chosen here are a good compromise, and the Listen Professional is clearly made with care. Neither a weak spot nor one that would allow it to weaken exist. The overall casing is resistant to scratches, making it perfect for daily use. The Listen Pro's ear cushions are made of memory foam, and there is no uncomfortable clamping action. The lows and low mids of the Listen Professional are particularly striking. The bass from these headphones is so powerful that it may seem bloated on the improper mixes, specifically, songs emphasizing the bass. The peaks don't seem manipulated or artificial. AKG Pro Audio K371 over-ear, closed-back, foldable studio headphones. Even though they are middle-tier professional headphones, you shouldn't let their price deceive you. These headphones deliver excellent sound quality. In addition, you can rotate both ear cups 180 degrees, allowing you to position one or the other to block out ambient noise as desired. The ear cups are cushiony memory foam ear cushions that completely enclose the ear. The AKG K371 headset is lighter and more compact than competing models, making it ideal for on-the-go use. While it can't compete with the convenience of wireless earbuds or on-ear headphones while traveling, the K371 offers superior sound quality and higher comfort. The dynamic drivers of the AKG K371 are among the highest quality options in their price range. The bass is notably prominent at the low frequencies, or sub-bass, as some people like to refer to it. You'll discover that it adds a satisfying rumbling without dominating the track as a whole. All instruments are discernible, and the mid-range frequencies seem quite genuine. We hope you find our reviews helpful. Like, subscribe and ring the notification bell for all latest updates and news about earbuds, headphones and other audio devices.
Headphones preview.
Pro.
Headphones Pro review.
I don't know.
Yeah, you can find them over at YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Whole bunch of videos on different headphones and dynamics.
Yep, I use the Sonys that they mentioned in the list. I can definitely vouch for them. Very comfortable. I wear them many, many hours a day.
Well, and Jake had mentioned those buyers earlier. Surprised they came out on top.
Mm-hmm.
The Bayer Dynamics are probably the best headphones you can get at a decent price point. Those Arias are probably the second best on that list as far as my direct opinion, but they're so damn expensive. You're looking at $12.99 minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they mentioned different considerations.
Where's the echo coming from?
Oh,
I'll mute.
it's still looking. They mentioned different considerations when you're buying them. I mean, obviously audio quality is the first reason you're going to buy these kinds of headphones, but comfortability kind of comes in a close second.
Yeah, but I mean, I still don't buy. If you're gonna spend $1,200 on heavier headphones, this is the one where I'm at with Arias. Arias are a mid-range, really expensive headphone. I don't think you could spend the extra $600 and get into that $1,800 to $2,000 range and get a better set. That's my thought.
Yeah.
If you're gonna spend $1,200 on a headphone, spend two and get into that extra tier there. Arias just don't get you there. That's my opinion on that side. But I definitely agree with that whole definition and everything that they brought up on where to go with headphones and what open backs and closed backs and materials and that kind of thing. That's all good stuff to take into consideration.
Noise cancellation,
yeah.
wireless versus wired, all those are
Absolutely.
wired, right?
I think most of them were wired. If we're looking, I mean, those look like all studio headphone reviews, so I think they were all wired. I think there was a difference between the wire being able to be removed for packing and stuff like that. That's always something to take into consideration. Like my Audio Technicas, my ATs, I can remove the wire from them and then pack the wire separately so it doesn't get bent up or anything.
Yeah,
Whereas
that's
these that I'm
always
wearing
nice.
right now,
Yeah.
these are always attached, and so I do. There's different benefits to different types of headphones. My ATs would probably be better for live sound too, just because of the way the drivers and the way they're set up. Whereas these here are better for studio. They would be terrible for live sound.
I had a set of closed back Marshalls that I had at one point that had the removable wire so that it wouldn't have problems like that, and closed back, blocking out the external noise. They're quite comfortable too, but a little bit tight for me because they were actually on ear rather than over ear, so they didn't right. They actually pressed on the ears rather than being on your head around the ears. I think the echo might be gone.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, good.
Sounds good to me now.
Echo cancellation for the win. Haha.
Hey.
I think it was turned off because we were testing something.
Well, and any one of us can flip it. That's the one thing. Like when we do adjust those settings, it affects all of us.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Learning restream, I guess.
What's happening, Johnny? Hopping into the chat.
Their point about like wireless introduces, certain compressions that when you're trying to reference your sound and monitor, just like with noise cancellation, if you're using special drivers, these are not things that are going to convert over to your final mix. So you don't want to depend on them when you're mixing.
Well, I mean, you can't depend on noise cancellation. I mean, noise cancellation is a software-driven or a hardware driven situation that it's actually listening on the outside. And so there's microphones on the outside of those headphones, essentially. Really basic review here, guys. This is not getting down to the brass tacks. Basically, what those headphones are doing is they're listening to the world around you and playing tones and things that will result in the cancellation of that sound for you. It's not like it's some sort of weird vacuum that's going, hey, we're going to completely isolate you from sound. It doesn't work that way.
It's basically sound and anti-sound. Like a wave and a trough meet, and they cancel out and become nothing, ideally.
Yeah. It's like a specialized white noise. And so when you add something like that, when you're trying to mix,
you're making a mess, yeah.
You're just fighting yourself.
You might not hear something that you need to hear in order to be able to correct it.
You might not hear anything. You might be throwing some really bad stuff out there. You'd be like, this track sounds clean. Oh, no, it doesn't.
Till you publish it.
Yeah, don't publish it. Please don't. Get some reference sets, man. I like there's a studio near me, and the guy actually uses 2 different sets of headphones. So, there's a world of music. There's a world of mastering. There's a world of mixing. There's a world of live sound. There's so many different places where headphones play a different role. In the studio, headphones are great. They're absolutely fantastic, but they're better set for reference. And so you really want something flat. You want something that doesn't have huge peaks in it. You want something that doesn't hit you with boomy lows. You're using those for reference tracks. You can really hear something else, kind of compare your mix to it, and then it's blown through monitors afterwards. I mean, that's how it should be done. If you're not listening to your track through monitors, at some point you're missing an opportunity. But for instance, live sound mixing, you can't mix live sound outside of headphones. You can't do it. It's impossible. Like, good try. Like, you can't hear everything that's going on because you're hearing it from a completely different place in the crowd. And so you've got to learn to reference those situations. So I don't know. Headphones are interesting. They're an interesting thing to pick at, because there's so many different uses for them and so many different places that different ones matter.
A lot of times with the live sound, my buddy Mike will be mixing from the iPad, so he'll be moving around in the crowd. So he can hear what it sounds like in the back, or he can hear what it sounds like on the side, and he can mix from there. And everybody on stage is asking for different things in their mixes, because he's running 5 or 6 different aux mixes for each monitor mix. So everybody, some people have in-ear, some people just have a wedge in front of them. It all depends on what we're doing at the time. But by doing it that way, we're able to do some of the without using headphones. He's able to still mix just based on what he's hearing in the room. And again, sometimes the low frequencies are really boomy in one spot, but you don't hear them at all somewhere else. So you have to watch for things like that as well. So it helps that he's able to move around and check those things. But he did used to mix with just headphones at the beginning, because he didn't have the iPad option to mix anywhere.
Right. I guess, what I'm saying is, if you're mixing from a booth, you're mixing from a console, if you're mixing from a stationary place and a live sound, headphones are the only way to go. You can't do it any other way. There's no. And you should be
soloing each track and seeing what it sounds like, and making sure that each track has the appropriate characteristics for that kind of a sound and sits in the right place in the mix is important.
Then you've got talkback and communication with the band and all that kind of stuff. You can't do that without headphones. You know what I like though? There's a couple of venues that I've been to recently that have started taking a new approach. So they have live sound venues that do live, like, studio style recording. It's a live venue where they do their studio recording. What they're doing is they have 2 different sets of engineers. They have an engineer that's out there obviously mixing the live sound, doing the whole at the booth, doing the audio mixes, working with the band, that kind of thing. And then they have a completely different room as far away as possible, or completely sound deadened. And you've got these guys mixing through monitors live on the fly. Nice. And creating these really awesome mixes and producing this stuff really fast. Because it used to be, it was recorded, they would get all the stems, they would just flat record everything, and then you'd have guys mix it, and then they'd produce it for like PBS or something, and you'd be like, oh, this is live. It's not really live. It's like
post-production live. Yeah.
Post-production live.
At some point, somebody was alive playing an instrument, yes, but...
Correct. Because there's a lot of musicians that kind of hold themselves to that standard. They're like, why can't I sound like that live? No one does. Don't worry.
But having a good sound team, or having a sound team that is comfortable
yeah.
with the band, is also important, because then knowing kind of where to start with the mix, knowing that, this singer, where you get him in sound check, he's going to be a lot louder when he's actually on stage with the band. You got to know how each person is individually, and where to get them mixed to get them, get it comfortable for when you're up there. But once you get some experience with those bands, or with the venue even, because, this venue might be extra boomy and you need to cut some of the bass out and do some other things, and this other venue might, eat all the highs or whatever. You got to figure it out, each venue and each band. So the combination of each is a new puzzle, each time you have a new scenario going on.
All right.
But the idea is that
Tony.
it's... Yeah, we did. He'll be back though. He's been making Elon Musk mad. So every once in a while, he just takes a shotgun to one of the satellites, and then it's gone. And he's like, "Oh, he'll be back." But it's all good. We actually have some other videos though that we can get into for today as well. We were going to get into the whole love songwriting. We could talk a little bit about the song that you did earlier if you'd like first, or we can go into the videos. We could do it either way.
Let's look at the video first, because I'm going to predict something. I'm going to make a prediction.
All right.
Have you seen this video yet?
This one I have not, actually. This one Tony found for us.
I haven't either. I haven't seen this one, but
Okay.
I am guessing that the love song thing, it's going to really base it on emotion, life experience, things like that. It's going to do that whole thing. It's going to miss some really big key elements that I personally think that should be taken into account. But let's just see what happens. I think it's going to be really flat. I think it's going to be a little cheesy.
As a matter of fact, we actually have a couple of different ones to choose from. We have how to write a love song. We have one that's ideas for writing a love song. We have how to write a love song on piano, so specifically to the piano.
Oh,
How to write great lyrics, specifically five tips for beginners for writing lyrics. And we have one on 5 best ways to start a song. So I was thinking about starting with the start a song, but if we want to get right into love songs,
I think starting a song. I think it's a great idea. Let's do
all right,
that.
cool. Let's start with that one. Here we go.
Huang, one of the most common questions that I get is about how to start a song, or where to start a song, chords, melody, lyrics, and really there's no right answer. A lot of different starting points can be great. I've started songs from just an interesting title, or like a weird sound that a gas station pump was making. Each starting point has something unique to offer, and I thought I would make this video to cover 5 of what I think are probably the most common starting points for a song, which are melody, chords, a beat, an interesting sound, and lyrics. They say the best way to learn is by doing. I think the best way to teach is also by doing. So I really don't have much planned here today, except I'm gonna try and start 5 songs, one from each of these starting points, and kind of walk you through what my process is like with each of them. Good luck to me. Starting a song with drums is an interesting one because you get a lot of energy, but not a lot of identity. Let me show you what I mean. So we've got this drum loop, and this can take on pretty much any emotion. It's entirely dependent on what pitched material you add to it first. So starting with drums is super fun, and it firmly defines the tempo of your piece, as well as giving some sense of its intensity. But it's really the next thing that you add that you have to be really deliberate about, because that will probably do more to set the direction. And probably the most natural things to add onto a drum beat next are a chord progression or a bass line. There are lots of ways to come up with chord progressions, but I'll just start with a few. First of all, you could take a chord progression that you already know. Like, we've all heard this. A million songs use that. You can also use that. You could also mess with it a bit though and see if that inspires you, like changing the order of the chords. What if we just play what I just played backwards? Kind of cheesy, but there is a seed there. We could slow it down. So singing gibberish is a huge part of the process. Another fun thing to do is just a random number generator. Google has one even. So you can set a minimum and a maximum, and I use 1 and 6 to match up with the first 6 chords of a major key. So for instance, in C major, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's generate 4 right now and see how it sounds. Two, 6, 2, 6. Let's run with it. Yeah, I feel something vibey here. And I'm on and now. Na 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 na. Oh, and na 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 and na 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 na. This is like a dark R&B thing that we can play with. Let's make this into something. Before I jump into doing some production though, let's just talk about what happened here. The chords guide the melody in this case. You know, I already have some little bit of vibe established from playing just these 2 chords, vocally experimenting and seeing what feels good on top of them. And you know, I'm not thinking of what notes I'm singing. I could if I wanted to, you know, I have the ear for that. I have the music theory for that, but really I'm just letting it kind of come out and trying not to get in the way intellectually. I would die for you, they say, but I would kill for you. So let's play, 'cause I'm out of my mind on you. Whatever you want, just give me the sign and I'll light 'em all up. Well, that's the start of something cool. That's starting with a chord progression and going from there. Let's move on. Just a quick sponsored message. Today I'm using the TMA2 Wireless Plus headphones from III. These are super low latency wireless headphones. They do not use Bluetooth. It's a better technology than Bluetooth. It has much lower latency than Bluetooth. You can barely notice it. It's so close to real time. So it's amazing for producing, mixing. I really like in sessions like today where I'm kind of hopping around between different stations in my studio. I'm on the drum kit, I'm over at the computer on the synth. I don't have to worry about a cable. I don't have to take my headphones on and off. I can just stay completely in the flow creating. Another cool thing about the TMA2 line is that they're committed to sustainability, and these headphones are completely modular. So you can take them apart. There's the headband, the cable that you want if you go with the non-wireless version, and even the speakers and the cushions. All of these things you can customize for the headset that you want, but also if any part of them happens to get damaged, you can just replace that one part rather than having to buy all new headphones. Right now we're running a giveaway for a pair of these on my Instagram, so head over there if you want details on that, or if you want to buy a pair, you can get a free hard case right now if you use the code Andrew Huang when you check out. I think that's just on for a limited time, so definitely hit that up if you're interested in ultra low latency wireless headphones. I highly recommend them. Starting a song from a melody is one of my favorite things because there's so much room to play with its emotional resonance once you start adding chords underneath it. And I would say when you're starting with a melody, chords are just the next thing to do 99% of the time. I don't know any songwriters who are like, sweet, I got my melody, time to find a snare sound. So previously we had a chord progression that we used to inspire a melody, and now we're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna come up with a melody and use that to inspire a chord progression. I'm actually just going to go on Twitter and ask for people to send notes, and then we'll find little chunks and use those as our melody. Partially just to show you that I do not have a pre-planned melody to do this with, but also because I think it'll be fun. Need to get a nice smile emoji on the end of that. And also, yeah, I use the browser version of Twitter because it's worse than the app, and that makes me want to use Twitter less, which has saved me hours of my life. Maybe days. Boop! Let's see what comes in.
A few minutes later.
I hope this is clear enough on the top-down camera. Oh, throw me an E sharp, so that's an F, F, G, E, B half flat. Get out of here. Let's go up a bit. A flat, A flat. We got 3 A flats in a row, and then a B and an E flat. What's that? Ooh. Da 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 da. Maybe it's a pickup. Na 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 na. 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 Yeah. Whoa. Na na. Oh. Na. No no. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Oh wait. Yeah, let's go down to that. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Maybe that third chord we could turn major. Na, na. Basically, the formula here is see what the main notes, the melodies are hanging on, and what are the main chords that could fit underneath it. You know, each basic chord has 3 notes in it. So, you know, if your melody's got a G, that could be the 1 of G major, the 1 of G minor, the 5th of C major, or the 5th of C minor, and the 3rd of E minor, or the 3rd of E flat major. That's not even getting into like seconds, sevenths. So it's not a strict rule at all. Nothing in music is, but if you're starting from a melody, if you've been humming something, or you have something in your head that you've come up with, or you've asked people to tweet musical notes at you, pretty much the next thing that I would do is always the chords. Just saying. Listen to this. Sometimes it's better than others. So when I'm trying to keep my coffee or tea warm, I have this lid that goes on top. It's very fancy technology. I was trying to think of a sound we could use for this, starting with a sound segment, and then I looked at my coffee and remembered that I have a bunch of recordings of this lid running through the H9000. This guy here, absolute beast of an effects processor. I've done a video on it before, and I have some recordings of running this lid through a bunch of its weird pitch shifting delays. I like how rhythmic that is. Let's tighten that up. What's this like at different speeds? Yeah, that's a nice groove. Let's bring out sort of this clap feeling part.
You better not doubt it. You can't win the blind, you can't deceive the blind. You'll just be doomed to the planet. So if I'm doomed to be damned, I'm going out with the bang. Carry my plans out, won't back down. Cause if the choice is to hang like Mary Ann or burn like the coin, then I got the jerry can and I'm bouncing.
Starting with a sound is probably the most open-ended of all these approaches because it has the least emotional baggage with it. You know, we've all heard so many different beats and chords and melodies, and we understand a lot of how they work, but sounds are just... Sampling allows you to do so much manipulation with them too that you can disguise things or transform them and end up with something that sounds very different from what it started as. So it's a very experimental starting point, and in this case led to a beat where I think in other cases, you know, it could have led to some kind of effects-laden drop. A lot of times it's just vibe. It's like a textured layer that's part of the song, not necessarily contributing something foundational, but that really sets a mood. And you don't have to do this with sampling either, you know, dialing in a certain guitar tone can inspire what you play, or you know, doing some sound design on a synth, that can lead to a lot of interesting places. The last thing that we gotta touch on though, that I've been kind of dreading, is starting with lyrics. Okay, I lied at the start of the video. I didn't start all 5 songs in one day because now it is a new day. I just got into mixing some of those tracks and I was procrastinating on this lyrics section because lyrics are always such a challenge for me. Once I get rolling with it, I do enjoy it, but I do find that every time I'm kind of like hitting against a wall for a while before I break through and get to that flow point. Whereas, I don't know, with music, it's just so much easier for me to just go. Anyway, let's talk about starting a song from lyrics. I will say when you start a song from lyrics, you will move pretty quickly into some music writing aspect of it because it's so important how the words fit with the music. It's really rare that you'll write an entire song, just the words, and then set it to music. I'm sure it does happen, but that is super rare for me, or if I do it that way, I'll need to tweak a lot of the words to fit the melody that I end up coming up with. But it is really cool starting with lyrics because the way that you phrase things can often inspire how you're gonna sing them, so it's kind of a different way to come up with melodies. One of the main ways that new lyrics come into my world is just by being attuned to the sensation of inspiration as life is unfolding. And it's not usually inspiration like bolt of lightning, oh my gosh, amazing idea. It's just this sense of something being interesting, you know, in conversation with a friend, they'll say something in a bit of an interesting way, or you're observing a situation and you just feel like there's some dramatic irony here, or there's an image in front of me that is out of the ordinary, and this is something that I could take and write about. And then anytime I get one of these sparks of inspiration, I write it down immediately, usually on my phone, but I use the Evernote app so that it syncs to my desktop as well, so I can access my writing wherever I am. And well, let's just go through some random jottings that I have, and maybe I'll pick one to start a song with here so you can see what this process is like. I came to LA with both my middle fingers up. Cool starting line. Perched on the Space Needle. An interesting image. Maybe I wrote that while I was in Seattle on tour. He left a bit of brain on the pavement. I don't know what that was about, but very strong image. That's a song. I'm a skeleton. Laugh crying in my office chair. Some song about the 9-to-5 grind, maybe. Goodbye ceiling, hello clouds. They're not all winners. I also want to show you some different ways that you can start writing lyrics other than just happening to come across an idea as you're out living your life. One of my favorite methods lately is something I got from Jeff Tweedy. I think he calls it a word ladder or something like that. It's in his awesome book about songwriting. And you just write 2 lists. You think of 2 topics or themes, and then you come up with 10 words for each of them. Just any words that are related to them. So let's say we pick, I'm gonna look around the room, plant and shoes. These are my 2 topics. My song is not gonna be about either of these things, probably, but we're gonna write 10 words that have to do somehow with both of these topics, and then by putting them together, we're gonna create amazing poetry. Let's see, plants. Green, grow, leaf, flower, dirt, air, sun, garden, thorn, life. All right, shoes. Lace, feet, sole, tie, walk, style, soft, lining, run. Actually kind of struggling with like shoe words. Maybe tongue? Tongue is a part of a shoe. All right, so we've got our 20 words, and now we're gonna take one from each side and smash them together and see what happens. I'm just amazed how often it's like fun and magical and very lyrical. Like flower tongue. What is a flower tongue? Definitely an interesting image. We could talk about the sun lining something. It's not the usual way you describe sunlight, and so that makes it interesting. The sun lining the ground, the sun lining your eyes. What about green lace? I'm not thinking of shoelaces anymore, I'm thinking of some kind of lacy clothing. A garden made of lace, very cool image. Another thing that starts to happen often as you play with words is that you replace things sometimes with homonyms. Is that the, things that sound the same? So like leaf could be leave, this soul could be soul, air, sun. So we're just generating all this raw material that we can respond to rather than having this blank page and thinking like, okay, I've got to come up with complete, perfect, beautiful lines and be able to sing them and have them mean something. Even like less fluffy stuff, you know, forget about a garden of lace. You could just say, I was running through the dirt. Very normal, natural line to come up with. I don't know if I would have come up with it if I was just thinking of running. Maybe having plants here is what got me there. So when you're starting with lyrics, I think there's three main places to go, which is a really great line, and probably that would be like the hook of the song or the opening line. Those are good places to focus on. It could be a title or it could be a concept. Sometimes title and concept overlap, but those are things that often set in motion the rest of your lyric writing. So from these lists, let's try and come up with an example of each one. For an opening line, I'd maybe go with that, I was running through the dirt, or whatever it was that I just said. I've been running through the dirt. Maybe something like that is an interesting way to open up a song. For a title, what about Green Lace? What if that song is about a dress that somebody wore on a special day? This makes me think this song will be about memories you have of someone who is important to you. And that is also a little bit concept-y. Like I said, titles and concepts often go together. But let's see if we can come up with just a concept, not necessarily a title, but a frame, a little capsule of what this song will be about or say. How about Leaving Softly? I don't think Leave Softly or Leaving Softly is a good title, but the idea of something needing to come to an end and, you know, wanting to be gentle about it, wanting it to not hurt somebody, or maybe it's about sneakily or secretly getting away from a situation. I think there's inspiration to be found there. So why don't we bust out the guitar now and start singing stuff. I mean, that's kind of what I was mentioning earlier. You go so quickly to the music side of things if you start with lyrics, or I do anyway, because you just want to see how it's gonna fit, and that informs what you're gonna write next. I've been running through the dirt, in the dirt, through the dirt. I've been running through the dirt. Fighting to get to you. Or maybe you've heard it's what I deserve. A little faster maybe. I've been running through the dirt. Oh, fighting to get to you. Get to you. I mean, that's the start of something. So now I want to be thinking of what am I writing about? Why am I running? Who am I running to? Am I running to an actual person, or is this you know, a place in my life that I want to be when I refer to you? Trying to get to you. Fighting to get to you, actually, I like that. Now at this point, I'm kind of coming up with lyrics and melodies in tandem, you know, so I could continue and just write melodically and then see what words could fit with that, or I could try and write out some more words and then see how I would sing them. You know what, just for fun, let me show you another thing. Sometimes when you have words already and you're trying to find a melody for them, just saying them in a rhythm with no notes can be an interesting way to start, and then you find a melody to go with that rhythm. So I've been saying, I've been running through the dirt. But what if we change the cadence of that and it's like, I've been running through the dirt. I've been running through the dirt. Try another rhythm. I've been running through the dirt. I've been running through the dirt. Feels kind of Taylor Swifty for some reason. I've been running through the dirt. Whoa, I've been running through the I don't think it fits with the lyrics, but you know, there we go, a whole new melody. I've been running through the dark, searching for a spark that's true. This feeling, it's tearing me apart. I'm looking to the stars for you. I know you'll find me. You always end up beside me. And all I need is you. All I need is you. And in this darkness, when I feel you're the farthest, still all I need is you. All I need is you. And that's starting with lyrics. I'm sorry that I didn't document more of the continuation of that writing process. What happened is it was time for dinner with the family, and I put the baby to bed, and the whole time I was thinking of new lyric ideas and melodies, and so I kind of came back to the studio now having finished that verse, pre-chorus, and chorus, at least the lyrics and the melody, and I've just been going hard on the production. But I can tell you how it came together. So I switched the word dirt for dark, and then that just conjured up a whole bunch more feelings and images and a lot more rhyme ideas. And so I kind of went with that, and also the idea of the you that I'm singing to in this song is not an actual person, but it's more like meaning or purpose in life that I'm singing to. And you know how that kind of comes in and out, drifts in and out of your life, or at least that's how I feel. And, in between, you just have all of these existential crises, right? That's how life works. So that was sort of the focal point around which I wrote the rest of the song. And, I hope you enjoy it. Let me know how you like any of the stuff that I created today. And, the favorites I'll probably finish at some point or other. If you're interested in learning more about how I write and produce so quickly, I've got a 30-day online class at monthly.com/Andrew that you can take. It's fully pre-recorded lessons, so it doesn't matter where in the world you are, and it covers everything. How I come up with my ideas and flesh them out, all my music production tricks, mixing and mastering, and even if you've never made music before, there are some bonus beginner lessons that'll get you up to speed with what I'm doing. So yeah, check it out, monthly.com/Andrew. Also remember to enter the headphone giveaway. That's on my Instagram at Andrew's Music. Find the post with these headphones for more details on how to enter. Thank you again to III for sponsoring, and these Wireless Plus headphones are great. I'm sure you're gonna see me using them a lot. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Love to hear your comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Nice.
And
Excellent
that was
stuff there.
Andrew Hung. He was a new one we found last week, and I have been digging his channel.
I mean, I dig his channel, but
That studio, right? A lot of stuff in that studio.
Oh, I know. He makes me envious of that room.
he could have a year of videos just on how he put those patch bays together.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he does great reviews. If you look at his, we saw one on the Ozone keyboard, and he got his hands on that and showed off all of its features.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely incredible what he was putting out, but like I'm really, really impressed with him. But that is, for those of you in the beginning stages of music, don't try that.
No.
Don't try that.
This wasn't so much songwriting for beginners as it was getting the beginning of songs, like getting the ideas started.
It was literally
nuggets of
just the beginning of songs.
And you picked up on something, Jake, as far as his comfortability when it comes to how he starts his songs.
Oh, yeah.
I think he definitely preferred like starting with the sound effects and just kind of building from there, because like you said, he had done that. He did that so quick and effortlessly, and then when he shifted over to starting with words and using the exercise that he did, that was a little trickier for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And even drums were his second favorite, looked like.
Yeah. No, the drums were actually kind of cool to watch him go from. I was kind of impressed with the flow there. It's funny though, because there's been so many times that I've started with lyrics. Like I feel like that's probably my stronger suit, is I can write something out and then go, "Ooh, I will make this sound."
Is that the one you prefer? Is that the one that you prefer to start with the lyrics?
I should probably document a lot more of my own songwriting process, because I honestly could not tell you.
Mm-hmm. It just kind of happens over time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just, most of my music just happens now.
Well, when you start with the words, do you start like he suggested, get like a hook or a line and then start to build around it, or do you start with like an idea and then figure out the words to say?
Like I said, I'm not going to even try to fib this one. I have no idea. I could not tell you.
It just kind of pours out.
Well, no, I don't know that that's the case. I just don't know that I've ever paid attention. And so, because I've never really paid attention to it, I don't know what the answer to that is. That is a very good question for me to self-reflect on.
Well, one thing I
And
can say when listening to your originals, you have a skill at coming up with really powerful lines. Like
well, I mean, you guys have
in your
seen me doing
songs,
it.
there's always a couple of lines that just give me shivers. It's like, whoa, I wish I had come up with that line. You Whether you start with those words or they eventually come to you, you get your hooks in there.
I don't know. I mean, you guys have seen me write music. I've done it live for you guys. So, I mean, there's been times that sometimes it just happens. And I have no idea how it happened. Like, I'd love to see some of the recordings and really go through that again because, yeah, it's got me questioning, thinking about how he was starting that. I wonder how often I start my songs from lyrics. I
Well,
think
and
most of mine are started from emotion, though.
I do believe, we do creatively channel. Like, the most creative of artists out there, sometimes they are just channeling their emotions through an instrument.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, and like you said in the chat here, there's been times I do remember days of playing the same riff over and over and over and over,
And
and
seeing
then
what
me
it feels
going,
good against it.
and me going, Glenn, help me. Here's the chord progression. Can you give me some more chords to go with this because I'm stuck. And
Get
just
some
going,
sitar going.
just stop me
Oh,
because I'm stuck
we
in
had
it.
a
I'm stuck in
sitar
loop.
request.
Yeah, I saw that.
Dude,
See, we got some sitar in there for you.
I got stuck on this C D major E minor thing for like it was like 2 weeks solid. That was all I was playing, and I couldn't get away from it. I just kept on going back to it until I finally wrote a song around it.
Well, and are you
Nice.
stuck on that trying to figure out how to play it differently, or are you stuck on it trying to figure out how to transition it to something else?
Everything,
Because
everything you just said.
yeah, some riffs just go back to one, and it's hard to get out of the riff loop because the way that the chord progressions are, they just go back into the loop.
Now, was
I think
that
it was also
C major, D major, and E minor? Was that what you said?
yeah. So it's a C natural. So it's just a flat C, and then it was a D major, and then E minor.
Because what that feels like to me is that feels like the progression would be in the key of G, and that would be the 4, 5, and 6 there. Where the
Oh,
C
you would
and the D.
think,
Yeah.
but no, that's not where it goes.
Right.
Do
Yeah.
you want to know where it
That's
goes?
just what
It
that's
goes
just
to
what
A. It goes
feels
to A minor. It goes to A minor G,
Nice.
and then it goes to D natural.
Yeah. So
Not a D
2 and 1.
major.
There you go.
Not a D major.
Very cool.
It's bizarre. It's weird how it's weird, but it was also I was feeling some sort of pull towards it. Like there's emotion in all everybody's music. There really is. But I was feeling some sort of pull to it. I couldn't figure it out until I finally stumbled into that other portion of the and I was like, oh, this is what I'm feeling. This is the right. This is where I go. And
Oh,
so
it's nice when you hit the note you
yeah,
want to feel.
very accidentally, and it was a struggle bus because it doesn't. There's not any other songs that are written that way. I looked it up.
What I found funny was when he started getting into that random in the video, he was going into the random numbers in the phone, and I was laughing because we've done it a couple times on the show where I break out the Yahtzee dice because they're 6-sided dice and just throw the dice because then there's 5 chords that are going to be a number from 1 through 6, so you're not going to get any 7s, and everything that's 1 through 6 is fair game. So it's like of those 5 numbers that show up, make a progression, whether it's a 3-chord progression or a 4-chord progression. You might get 4 of one number and 1 of something else, or you might get all different numbers and try to just, work with that and just kind of, okay, I'm going to use this one, and then this one. And you kind of piece things together and you'll get ideas that you wouldn't have necessarily come up with on your own.
Well, and getting the repeat of the same note, is not always a bad thing. You saw in his example, he was like, "What? We're gonna hit the A flat 3 times?
Yep.
Oh, wait a minute, maybe this does work." When
And
you're talking a melody, a repeat on a note is not as bad on a melody as it is with chords.
I've never used that method before.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like just looking at all those different methods, like I don't think, most people probably have a method they gravitate to or a couple methods they use, but probably nobody really considers all of those from all angles. And it's a great way to take a look at it.
Yeah, that's a nice exercise to just really go in every chord direction.
I
Let
do
the
use
dice
that
lead.
method though,
Mm-hmm.
but I use that method in a different way. I use ChatGPT for it now.
Yeah. And that's the other thing I was going to say is he's having trouble, or his least favorite seemed to be starting from lyric. So now AI can help him with his least favorite part, at least even to get started. Even if you don't want to use those lyrics at all, they would get you a starting point where you can now build the rest of the song around it. And then if you wanted to completely even scrap those lyrics, at least you have the structure built and you had some, some motivation for the content.
It'll start from everywhere. It'll say, so it doesn't just start from lyrics. You can start from the chord progression. You can ask it to write a random chord progression for you. You're like, I don't really like that. Write it a different way. Give me another random chord progression. Doesn't matter what it is. Or you can feed it and be like, hey, you have these notes. Give me a chord progression out of that. I mean, ChatGPT is super, super powerful in that sense, as far as
in a lot of
getting the
senses,
creative
yeah.
juices flowing.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that exercise he was doing with words on each side,
The word ladder,
trying to make
yeah.
them relate. ChatGPT can do that in a blink.
I did the word ladder on. I used to do the word ladder in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I
it's
love
a good
that.
exercise. It's a good
It's a good reminder.
exercise. It's
Yeah.
a good exercise for songwriting. It's a good exercise for storytelling, and
Mhm.
it's useful in many creative aspects.
Oh yeah.
I think the difference though is something like that. You have to have patience.
Mhm.
You have to have some sort of self-discipline to really go, all right, these words aren't working, and then just move to something else and just get completely lost on that chasing the dopamine off into the weird world of words.
And
I like
This
that he
just
hit
a
that
story.
too.
be willing to be willing to see out of the box. When he took the words and tried to find homonyms, that was slick. I was
Yep.
like, I do wordplay all the time in my lyrics, and use a word that people are going to think means one thing, but if you read the spelling, I've used the word genes to talk about genetics, but in the song it's like saying, I guess it's in the genes, and it's talking about jeans you wear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've used some weird ones like that before. But
Lots of
I don't
different
know.
choices.
There's a lot of them. That guy is wholeheartedly impressive though, and
Yeah.
He's also
very
dealing.
strong.
I didn't know you dealt with partial hearing loss. Ange has. You said you had 40% on your
Yeah,
right ear.
roughly. Yeah, I've been sitting around 40% for like the last 15 years or so. It depends on where I go and get the test done. It's been a little bit higher or a little bit lower, or a little bit higher, or a little bit lower. It's fluctuated. It'll eventually start just going down though. I know that at some point it will.
Yeah, in
It'll
some
So you did say
deteriorate.
that
cases
certain
it's
headphones work better than
progressive.
others.
Correct.
And
Particularly once I can balance.
Jake had mentioned that before the show. If you're going and buying these kinds of headphones, it's worth going and
Getting
spending
audio metered.
$75 and getting your ears actually tested to see what they can hear before you go buy headphones that may or may not have the range that your ears can handle.
Especially if you're gonna buy expensive ones. If you're just gonna go out and spend $250, go spend $250. But if you're gonna go get like a really expensive set of ear monitors and get them molded and everything else, and you're like, do I go with the 4 driver or the 5 driver? Before you go and spend $1,200 on a pair of in-ear monitors, go get it checked because
Yeah,
it may not matter. That fifth driver does nothing for you.
That $75 can save you $1,200.
Yep.
I mean, I can just go with the cheap ones because I ain't gonna hear it anyway. Or you can say, these are the type of frequencies that I want to be able to hear better, and then you can, select something that has drivers that make sense for you. I just feel like there's an investment in equipment. You spend your time researching. It just goes along with it. If you're going to go and you're going to spend the amount of money that you can on really, really spendy headphones, go and get yourself tested. It's not that big of a deal. But it also depends on what you want to do. Like we were talking about earlier with the headphones thing, there's so many different avenues, so different things you do with headphones. If you're jogging, you're going to want a different type of headphone than you are if you're live mixing. If you're live mixing, you want a different set of headphone than you want if you're doing studio mixing.
Even for conferencing. Like,
Yeah.
if I was gaming, I would not want the same headphones for gaming that I would for conferencing. I know you got them all.
I've got like 5 or 6 different sets. I've got my in-ears. I've got my quiet comforts for work and listening to music. And
You're such a Renaissance man.
I just go. I just don't. I don't settle with one size fits all because it's just not true, especially in audio.
Yeah.
Audio is not one size fits all, and people that tell you, hey, we've had other conversations about mics, we've had conversations about instruments, we've had conversations about what can do what, where it can do it, when it can do it, why it should do it. That's the whole point of this channel, and that's what I love about this show. That's why I love watching you guys. Is there's so many different things. If you get tunnel vision and you go down one hole, you're just missing an entire world of amazing technology that's out there. Amazing technology.
And it's easy to get that. It's easy to get in that tunnel vision. I mean, shit, you load up one toy, and next thing you know, 3 months, you're just playing with that one toy and ignoring everything else.
Mm-hmm. You can't forget about what you have. And remember, when you're upgrading, think about what you're losing when you upgrade. Right. Sometimes that's something that gets lost too. Think about what you're losing when you upgrade. Like when I moved to my new Scarlett, I lost some major portability.
That's the 212.
So I've now got the 18i20, but prior I had the
big dog.
Yeah, I had the 2i2 before, and I got rid of the 2i2, and I shouldn't have. Should have kept it, because it would have been really nice to go out in the woods somewhere, set up my camera, plug it into my laptop, and do something.
Yeah, I just recommended it for that exact purpose to someone this week. Yep. They need a portable interface to go play out in the park. That's
once again, think about what you're losing, and I totally didn't even think about it until I needed it, and I'm sitting there going,
Yep. That's also why when I upgrade, I keep like the old stuff, and even if it's just throw it in a drawer, like I don't get rid of it. But that's also, it depends what to do with the old stuff too. Sometimes hand it down to somebody else who needs it, that kind of thing. So
yeah, I rarely end up selling my shit. That's why there's so much shit around me.
But I think it's going to force me into getting an awesome.
I have my first keyboard. I've never gotten rid of my first keyboard because it was my first. Doesn't work anymore, but it's sentimental.
Yeah. That's like I haven't gotten rid of my first guitar. Mm-hmm. My first guitar is a $50 guitar.
Yeah. My first guitar was about a $100 guitar. It's at the studio over Joey's house. I don't play it often, but it's over there. It's my my Strat style, so it's got the 5-way switch.
It's there. You look at it and go, that's where it started.
Yep.
And you put your fingers on it and you go, oof.
Lately, what I've been playing though is he just got a new to him 4-string SG bass, but it's I think it's a 63 or a 64. Wow. I mean, it's original, and it's the bass that his buddy Freddie had played for many years. And Freddie unfortunately passed recently, and his wife wanted to give that to Joey to have to remember him, by. So Joey's got me playing it, and it sounds amazing. It's got they used a brass nut on it rather than you see people with a plastic nut upgrade to bone, but to brass. I was like, okay, brass nut, and the whole plate down this end is just solid, super solid, and the pickup is huge. So it's like. Oh, it sounds amazing though, and super low action, feels really nice. Play really fast on it, and he just loves the way it sounds when I'm playing it too. So it's
correct me if I'm wrong, but those old SGs were all made in California, weren't they?
That I'm not sure. I'd have to check. Where I was actually going to look at the serial number and check, but it was under the tuner, so I didn't bother, checking what it was to go look it up later and see specifically when it was from. But it's from the 63, 64 period, and I know that Joey's been playing with the guy who had it, Freddie, for decades, and that was the main thing. Every time he would look over, that's what he would see Freddie playing. So it's good to get the bass back in action again.
Well, and when it comes
they were all built in the West Coast, all of them.
Nice.
When it comes to songwriting and starting with something, an instrument can be just as inspiring as words.
Yeah.
I have written songs because I got a new keyboard. It's like, whoa, I got new sounds. I started writing a totally different way.
Yeah, my buddy Mike, it was a 12-string guitar. He found a 12-string guitar at a music store, started playing it at the store, bought the guitar, brought it home, and wrote a song in the process of doing that, just inspired by the instrument.
Well, Jake you got that new baby last month.
Yeah,
How much has that helped? Like how many songs have come out so far from that one?
Many.
See, that's a great instrument.
But here's the thing. I I still write very singer-songwriter, folky country. This just gives me a little bit more room to kind of move into that blues edge that I like. But I'm still playing the same thing. And so I question it sometimes whether I really needed it or not. I
Well,
really like it.
would you say it complemented the style approach you've been taking? Like
It
this was
does.
not an instrument that like got in the way.
No.
It just
It was definitely a good choice. I don't regret getting it at all, but it's one of those things where I expected something different, I guess. I expected to maybe dwell and journey into a different world of guitar playing. Like, oh, if I get this, I'll start doing this.
yeah. I have
And
seen
I
that happen.
haven't.
I have
And
seen
I
that
haven't.
happen with certain
well,
instruments.
if you were going to
I
buy
haven't.
a guitar to change your style, if you're a guitarist with a certain style and you wanted to get a guitar that was going to influence you to play differently, what kind of guitar would qualify for that? Like going from country to metal, I guess certain
I
guitars
don't know.
better suited.
For me, I would say going from in that example, like I'm not sure what would be most used in country, but like in metal, having super low action, having a shredder guitar where you can just is one thing. Whereas with a country guitar, it might be a higher action, not as
Yep.
suited for that. Use a capo more often or do slides more. So
Yeah, there
there
you
would
go.
definitely be a change in style, and the string gauge could be a difference also. You might use a lot lighter gauge in one than the other,
Yeah.
which might make a big difference in your playing when you're. If you
I
go to
use
a
the
lighter
lightest
gauge,
gauge possible.
yeah,
So
Pepe uses eight.
you
So.
don't necessarily need to go get another guitar. You might just need to go get another set of strings.
No, I would
Or
say
even to set it up
this.
differently, yeah.
Yeah, I would say this. I would say that I think it's valuable for a musician that's a singer-songwriter that plays a lot of acoustic guitar to get into some easier modes of recording because there's so many plugins and so many guitar modelers out there and things like that. Get an electric guitar. It makes your life 1,000% easier. You can really get a tone that you want. I can make my guitar sound like an acoustic guitar with
Well,
extra,
for a
but
beginning
it's clean.
guitarist, would you recommend to somebody who's about to start guitar, start with acoustic or
Acoustic.
start with electric? Yeah, I would say
Acoustic all
acoustic
the
is
way.
the better way to start, and then
It's
you can
harder.
appreciate the
It's
electric
harder
after.
muscle wise. It's harder. Yeah,
It's harder.
you can do it with less effort on an electric, especially with light strings. Like an electric with very light strings, you could show somebody they could play longer without fatigue and without cramping, for example. But acoustic is good because once they get it on the acoustic, they can go ahead and switch and use an either or. But I mean, it depends on the person too and what their intent is. If they never plan to play acoustic later, I might want to start them on an electric just to have it be more familiar throughout. But
I
it
would
is
start them.
definitely.
I also would take it into a different account. One
Nylon,
thing that
acoustic
one
nylon.
no, just an acoustic, just a regular steel string
Well,
acoustic. And the
a
reason
steel is a little tougher for a beginner. Just
it
tougher
is
on the fingers, tougher
way tougher,
to perfect. The
but there's a
nylon
That's part
is
of
why
difference.
the, that's part of the idea, though.
you see those in
That is
grade
the
school
idea.
is the nylons.
You'll build those calluses, you'll build that strength up, you'll build your flexibility and everything in your hand better. But you also build something else, and a lot of people don't ever mention this. Starting on acoustic makes you get confident because everybody can hear it.
And dynamics in general. You can play it more
Yeah,
quietly and you can play it more loudly. Whereas on electric, if I'm used to playing electric all the time, but I almost never play through an amp. So if I got on stage with an electric, I would probably be shying away from my sound, not realizing how
right.
loud it is because I'm not used to the interaction there. Whereas with a bass, I'll just get up with a bass and have the bass stack behind me, whatever, and just go because I'm used to doing that. But with a guitar, I'm just not used to having that at my command and being able, having to mute the strings so much because it's so much more of an active sound when you're playing like electric guitar coming through an amp on stage. Most of
It
the
Yeah,
is
time, depending on
an acoustic is
the
an
bass
immediate
you kind of
regret.
feel like a bass is something that you actually feel like right in your chest.
I feel mine quite often in that same sense. I don't think just because you hear the thump doesn't mean it's any more intense than the thump from your high E. It's just Like I said, all I can say is I really truly believe in that moment of clarity with an acoustic when you hit that chord right, and somebody that's in your house goes, "Oh, that sounded good."
Yeah.
It's one of those moments that I just feel like is missed if you just started on the electric.
Well, I think that also that's part of the same, like it's the flip side of the coin, let's say, of what I was thinking about with starting with the acoustic is that you have to have a very tolerant environment. If you're going to start with an acoustic and you haven't played at all, like you need a nurturing and tolerant environment to put up with a whole lot of not so perfect chords before you get that one that's, oh, that sounded nice, honey. Like that could be a long time coming. So that's where the electric can be helpful so that you have the headphones on, you're doing the stuff that doesn't necessarily sound great at the beginning, but when you get to the point where you're confident, at least in the beginnings of the chords, or even just the like the cage system, where like I have this, let's see, I have it here. Like I have, something like this here, where it's got the cage system and how it relates to the, the pentatonic positions and how it relates to the diatonic positions. Plus, you've got the, the pentatonic this up so I can just kind of glance at it and have it available to reference while I'm playing. And I have this here so that I can bring the neck up here if I'm playing.
Yeah.
But it just helps to be able to have it and just kind of look at it and see how things relate to each other and at you as you're looking at those. And I like charts like that, so I do that kind of stuff.
There's also the point. There's not a lot of people. Truly, honestly, there's not a lot of people that pick up a guitar and say, I'm going to learn how to play this, that don't sound pretty okay at the beginning. They just don't know they sound pretty okay. Like
they're hypercritical of themselves. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's a struggling like, oh, that sounded bad. Well, no, you got the note out. That's all that really matters. Get that note out. Well, I hear a buzz. Get over it. The buzz is going to happen.
That's another reason why learning early in life as a child is better, because children are way less hypercritical of themselves. They're free to just go do stuff, and they can be bad at stuff. They can deal with that. Like they can do things, and even if it sucks, they can just oh, that was fun.
When you watch somebody who's new to an instrument like a guitar, whether they go up and they hit a single note and then a single note, or they try doing chord strums, how they explore the first time they pick it up kind of hints towards the kind of guitarist you might have there.
Explore is the right word too, because a lot of people, they just want to be shown, okay, what do I have to learn? Where's my scales that I have to learn? Where's my chords that I have to learn? Where some people, they will just pick it up and just hit notes and say, hey, what happens when I go to a higher fret? Oh, what happens when I jump to the next string?
If you get somebody naturally inclined to instruments, my buddy Scott, he could pick up any instrument and just kind of, it makes sound.
Pick his way through, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have to be taught it. He just had to have exposure to it.
Yep. That's how my buddy learned mandolin. Mm-hmm.
But I did have a very tolerant environment. You are right. So my first instrument was a full stand-up piano, like a full cabinet, like the big old, like giant, huge cabinet of sound, where there's no quiet. There's zero quiet, and that's what my first musical experience was on that thing. And thank God I had patient parents that watched me struggle through figuring out those keys, because I didn't have any lessons. I was self-taught. I learned everything, and I just started kind of picking music apart. And I remember one of the first songs that I finished out and really learned from beginning to end was Bryan Adams. And it was because my mom loved it.
Cuts like a knife?
No, it was...
it would have been like Heaven or...
yeah, it was Heaven, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, if you're going to do piano, that's a great choice.
I was like, what? It was one of my mom's favorite songs, and so I learned it, and I had that. Oh, I really wanted to please and make this sound really good. So that was my first one. And then in my 30s, I picked up a guitar finally.
A guitar is so natural with you. You and a guitar singing seems so for me. I feel like you were born for that combo.
It might be now, but I am telling you. Ask my wife about the 9 months that I struggled with that instrument, fighting it.
It takes 9 months to make a baby.
Fighting it, man. It was a fight. Me and guitar.
But you didn't give up.
Biggest struggle I've ever had. No, I
didn't give up, and that's one of the things with if people start with an acoustic and they don't have a highly tolerant environment, they could easily be dissuaded from continuing. That's the one caveat I throw in there, is just because, like you're saying, though, the piano is no exception. The acoustic guitar really does bring it out even more, though, because it's just like with a violin. Like if you had somebody in your house going with a violin, like I mean, it can be very painful, but if if you can tolerate it for that very beginning stretch and get through that, then it can be very pleasing right after that. But you have to be very tolerant and supportive.
It could be worse. You could have a drummer. That's the toughest.
I mean, that's the thing is drummers,
There's
if they don't
nothing
have
wrong with drummers.
dynamic control,
Having
dynamic control
drummers
starting
as
out.
like kids in the house, learning them.
I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah, I think dynamic control is the one thing. Like even certain people like trying to learn piano, like once they learn what notes to hit, like as a young kid, they just want to go bam, bam, bam. Like they just want to hit those notes really loud because they know they can and they know they're allowed to, and they just But it's even though the song is trying to be gentle and tender or whatever, they're just going bam, bam, bam because that's the way they learn. But when they hear it, then later on, then you can get them to the point where, hey, here's how you use dynamic. Sometimes you want to go loud like that. Sometimes you want to be quiet like this. Be aware of which is called for in this song and at this time, and go with that. But just the awareness can really help in that regard.
I don't know. I think drums are a great place to start too, because again, one thing that I feel like makes the difference between a really good and really talented and really successful musician was the confidence to screw up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just like with kids, Yeah.
You have to have that confidence to screw up. If you're
Or
gonna be
the ability
timid,
to turn a screw up into something gold.
music is brutal, and you can almost it's almost like mind control sometimes. And you can get somebody into that flow, and you're like, yeah, everything's good, and then you hit that wrong key, and everybody goes, "What was that?"
Yeah, we actually had a pretty good example of that the other night. We had an open jam, and at the very end, somebody who wasn't part of the band, but in the last minute that we were playing, we were playing Jumpin' Jack Flash, I think is the last song. And as we were just kind of going into the last minute of it or so, he just starts hooking up his keyboard. He'd been playing tambourine the whole time, and just a little bit too loud. Like I like it. He's got good rhythm. He's got good timing and everything. But he's just in the recordings. It just kind of is overpowered a little bit by the tambourine. So we just needed to just tone it down just a little bit, and it'd be awesome. But he hooks up a keyboard at the last minute. I guess he's got the speaker aiming away from him. So he hooks it up and he just hits like one note, and he's just like holding one of those. It's like wah, but he just turns up to the point where it's literally louder than all of us. So in the video that I have from the other side, you just see we're all just playing, and just all of us are just like we all look over like at the same time, and you just hear this wah, and like we're in the last 20 seconds of the song or whatever. So like we finished up, we're like, okay, we're done, we're fine.
Silence by the note.
Yeah,
it's that kind of stuff though, because what that does is having the ability to screw up and being able to recognize it prevents those really bad singers from showing up on American Idol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the ones who nobody ever told them like when they heard them singing. And there's ways to give that compliment sandwich where if somebody might say, oh, they're terrible at singing or whatever, there's ways to tell them what things they should or should not look at.
It's easier for someone to look at you and go, oh, you played that wrong, than it is to look at someone and say, oh, you sang that wrong.
True.
And I don't know why.
Well,
I don't know why.
As an artist, you got to know the difference between a screw up and something that might potentially just be different. Because some things aren't screw ups. Bad pitch, more times than anything, if I say somebody screwed up, it's because they're not singing to the proper key to everything else. That's a screw up to most people's ears.
Mm-hmm. We got Jason Jacobs in the house.
But if you go to a major chord instead of a minor chord because you didn't program your brain, sometimes that's not a screw up. Sometimes it's like, whoa, this just changed the mood.
I think what I mean by that is if you play, it's not necessarily playing the wrong chord. Say you just completely screw up and play the wrong everything, like someone
the wrong song.
So someone can look at you from a crowd, and someone can be very critical and go, "Oh, you messed that up, didn't you? That was the wrong note." and it's funny because it's for some reason when you're playing an instrument, a mistake is okay,
and it depends on the instrument.
Okay. But when people are singing something wrong, there's a lot of people that go, "Oh, that was great."
When it comes to different instruments, what the audience perceives as a screw up, they're more likely to pick up a singer who sings a wrong note than say a bassist who hits a bad note, unless the bassist
Well,
hits
they're more
it at
likely to
a
pick it
bad
up, probably,
time.
yeah. They're more likely to pick it up, but they're less likely to call them out. I don't know. There's something about singing; it's too intimate. People view it as too intimate, and they're worried about hurting someone's feelings on that end. Where if you play an instrument wrong, they're like, "Oh, you just need to practice more." I don't know.
Either that, or even just you
platonic.
you weren't paying attention, or you were looking over there, so you hit the wrong fret is different than if you sang on the wrong pitch. They consider that more. That's more of an internal thing. So I think that's why people would take it more personally as a singer. Like, oh, I sing on key. I can hear it in my head when I sing it, so I know, that kind of thing. So they take it more personally than if I hit the wrong note on the bass. It's just like, oh yeah, I must have been over a fret.
Well, and
No
the
big deal.
singer tends to have more focus on the audience. The audience is more focused on the singer sometimes than the other parts.
I've had it both
It's
ways.
the thing in the
I did
front.
a backflip
It's
off
the
the stage
lead.
to get the attention back. I was pissed. My guitarist was getting all the attention. I was like, no,
Well,
I am the
between
front man.
between the guitarist and the singer, there's usually a battle for who's in the front.
We were having a war is what we were doing. It's that close ending of friendship.
And the bass player is just hanging back by the drummer, just like, I don't know what they're doing.
He's a
out there.
left-handed bassist, just jamming. He's like going crazy, man. I love that guy. No, I mean, it's funny to think about, but I mean, I guess my point was that, dude, headphones are freaking important.
Yeah, I was saying that the ones that I was using in the review they did, they went over the Sonys, and that's what these are.
Yeah.
Right here, the Sonys.
I don't like the Sonys. I really don't like.
They're
I
super
don't know
comfy.
why. I don't take that away from them. I don't take the comfort away from them. I don't like the sound though. I don't know. It's weird, and I think everybody has a preference. But once again, I think it's because I can't hear everything that they put out.
The other thing is that I probably haven't tried, like, of the other 9 on that list. I don't think I've tried any of the other 9. So
Don't try the Arias.
yeah,
They're
skip
not
that.
worth it.
And I should probably skip the ones that are over 800 because I don't think I should be spending that kind of money. But
Well, I'd like to enter his giveaway and get me one of those
Dude,
wireless
those
ones.
PMAs.
Low latency. Wireless. When he said that, I was like, I'm sure there are some good wireless where the latency they have dealt with, and being modular like that, those were cool headphones.
I like that. Yeah, that was cool.
I've
got
never-
just
I've never-
crazy
I wouldn't
gear
pay
like
out
that.
my ass for them, but if I could win them in a giveaway.
Because I was thinking, because the only other wireless ones that I knew that were good for mastering and stuff like that are the hi-fi MEMS. And again, so I said very clearly, you're looking at $8,000 for those. Like you're not looking at something very small. But when he said that, I was like, oh, here's another $8,000 thing, and it was like they're $350. I was like, what? Really?
That's a spicy meatball.
It's worth. It would be worth going to the music store and listening. I would not buy them online just on his account. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I would want to go check these out in a
Yeah.
guitar center.
I'm one of those guys. I'm like,
When
Like-
it comes to a purchase that size, yeah, for sure.
I was like, you were listening to these over your beanie too. Like it wasn't even open ear.
Well, and
I don't know.
on the flip side of that, from headphones, microphones, because you have recommended to me some expensive ass mics, those stereo that were like $2,000.
Those Telefunkins?
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. There's some really expensive mics out there, but I'm not using them. I'm using a $400 SM7B. I'm using a $150 Blue Spark SL. I'm using a Scarlett mic that came from Focusrite that comes in their bundle. I'm using an SM58. I'm using an SM57. I mean, I use
For the
I've
7B, do you
used-
have a cloud lifter or no?
absolutely 100%. It's the only way to use it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
impossible to
what
use otherwise.
everybody says. You got
I
it.
saw one that was trying to do a comparison between a cloud lifter and something else for that purpose, but I don't remember what it was.
There's some other preamps and other you can run it through. If you don't have a cloud lifter, you can run it through like an actual preamp, a mic preamp that's standalone. You can run it through something like that. But if you're at that point, you shouldn't be using an SM7B. But that way. But I've also recommended things like, I don't know, the Manly Reference, which
was
is
the
an $8,000 microphone with
Yeah,
its own preamp and own power supply, and It's it's what Jack Black uses. When
Slaps
he
your wheels
recorded.
on, you drive
At
that thing to
that,
the show. Yeah.
yeah, at that price, it better like drive me somewhere.
It will drive your vocals in places you've never heard them go before. And the thing about him is, we're gonna get into the Manly reference. The thing about the Manly reference is it's so intuitive for anyone to use. Whereas you get into Neumanns are very dependent to get certain sounds out of them. They're very expensive mics, but to get certain sounds and get the things that you want, they're so dependent on other equipment. A Manly reference, you can literally take the Manly, you can take the preamp that it comes with, plug it directly into an interface, and go.
They were the ones that
You're
made the
done.
stereo.
No, that's
stereo mic?
Telefunken. Telefunken.
Telefunken.
Yeah.
I like that name.
Yeah, Telefunken I like for instruments. Really great for instruments. Really fantastic for instruments. They've got really warm profiles to them. They've got fantastic diaphragms for picking up those light, little minute things that you might get out of a guitar that you might miss otherwise. It'd be great for recording like a hammered dulcimer or a set of a xylophone or something. They can pick up those.
Harpsichord.
Yeah, harp, anything like that. They're really good at picking up that kind of stuff, and the stereo qualities on them are really, really awesome to deal with. And so I love Telefunkens for what they are. I would never sing into Telefunkens though. I just don't think you wouldn't get what you wanted out of them. Like a large diaphragm condenser mic is what you want.
They're better for room capture.
Yeah, it's not necessarily. They're better for those really fine details in instruments that you would otherwise miss. Like if you got a mic up like a baby grand, throw in a set of Telefunkens in there. I mean, you'll get so much more from it, and you can. I don't know. It's just they have their specific use. Yeah, they're $2,000, but I'd love to have a set for my acoustic because my acoustic would sound better in recording if I had those. It just would. Not to say that I couldn't, put some serious work into it and, run my line out and do some work in the mix and master to make it sound just as good.
Well, and now that they're talking stuff like Atmos, where you're kind of mixing in surround with the atmosphere, how people use these mics in the future is going to start to change.
Yeah.
We're going from left-right stereo mixing to Atmos becoming the replacement for stereo. I see that happening this year.
No, I don't think Atmos will ever replace music.
With iTunes announcement last month, they're going to start forcing everybody to put an Atmos mix into their iTunes uploads. And it's only a matter of time before all the sound platforms will start to set that standard. It's the whole reason why Dolby Surround never caught on, because it was hokey. It required all sorts of extra parts. But
Dolby Surround sound was in every movie theater in America.
Yes, but it wasn't
every movie theater.
You weren't recording
every one of them.
You weren't mixing it in your album. You weren't utilizing it to make music. You were doing it to make movie scores. And
I'm not buying into Atmos.
Atmos is attacking the music industry. It is going to get the music industry to move from stereo to a spatial kind of mixing approach. I'm not sold on it either, Jake.
I'm not sold on that.
I was like, fuck that, until last month when iTunes announced that. I was like, okay, well, even though I don't necessarily like this, it's coming.
I cannot. Listen. I would love to see a general public. This is like pulled in for a poll on this. Let them listen to something in Atmos and let them listen to something in high fidelity stereo, and then say which one was better. I would love to see that, because
it's likely gonna be the stereo right now.
Because me personally, I mean, my headphones. I have this set of Bose, right, that support Atmos. I can listen to a song in Atmos and I can listen to a song in high fidelity, and I recognize some of the things, some tiny little things that are different, but it doesn't matter. That's the thing,
Trade-off.
is it doesn't matter. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't change the experience in any way, shape, or form.
Well, yeah,
Whereas when
spatial sound has not had as much
it
impact
doesn't
in music.
change.
You
No.
you don't hear your instruments like actually utilizing spatial sound most of the time. They are
Now,
either here or they are over there,
sit
or
me in
they're
an
both.
IMAX theater
Yeah.
and ask me which is better, and I'm going to tell you Atmos
Yeah.
all the way.
Now,
I'm
if you
going to tell you that 3D spatial sound is incredible in that kind of
if you
environment.
want to accomplish that kind of orchestral sound, like you're in the pit and you can hear the violins over there and you can hear the brass a certain distance away, that spatial mixing, if it's done right, can make you feel like you're standing in an orchestra pit.
Don't believe that.
But
Because
but
we
it
don't
has to be
hear things that
utilized.
way. We don't hear things that way. That's the
We
thing.
do we do when we're there. When we
I don't
are
know. We
in the
hear.
orchestral pit, we do hear when you're standing in front of a stage and the bass amp is on the left side and the guitar is on the right side. You hear them
One thing I
But
will
spatially.
say
I do
is,
that.
as I've done more mixing and as I've done more live sound stuff, I have noticed that I pick out more spatially in the music that I just listen to regularly. Even if I'm just listening to the regular headphones or in the car or whatever, I end up focusing or being able to focus my attention on each of the parts more easily. So it could just be something that it's more of an advanced listening, I guess, thing where the more you try to focus on those things, the more you're able to.
I just
Even
feel like there's a
You
difference.
listen to headphones in the car?
no,
No,
just
Oh, I
it
was
you're
going
just
to
talking
say
about live
you
sound.
are a geek.
What I'm talking about is we don't hear that way. So when we hear music, we hear the combined sounds of a song. Now we do hear when those violins pick up on, and we can hear that in our left and right in that stereo format. We can hear the direction we're coming from. What I'm talking about is we don't hear music in 3D. We don't play music in 3D. We don't listen to
Exactly.
music in 3D. We don't experience music in 3D. I have never been to a venue to where I have music coming from literally all. I've never sat in the middle while an orchestra is all around me playing at me.
Yeah,
And so I don't buy it in the musical sense because it doesn't exist that way in the musical sense. Now, what I say about environment is like if I'm watching a war movie, I know that if I was in that scene, if I was there, I would hear a tank over here. I would hear
Horses
gunfire up here.
horses
I would
galloping
hear the
towards
guy
you.
behind me sneaking up trying to cut my throat. That is important to me. That makes more sense for that type of experience. I just don't buy it for music. I think it's a complete sham for music. I think high fidelity stereo is way better. Way better. It's a better bit rate. It's easier to mix in. I think it's just this whole hokey thing. There's a bunch of audiophiles out there that are like, well, if you're not hearing it in Atmos, you're not really experiencing the song.
So Jake's telling us that Atmos is the Betamax of sound.
See, and I'm in
Basically.
agreement with them. I am in agreement. Like for the last year, they have been talking about it and pushing it, and I have not been compelled by any of their arguments.
I am
Their
not
their
compelled by it
argument
at all.
And Tony bleeped
Tony
himself.
froze.
Elon heard him.
Elon must.
He heard him talking about the stuff, and he's like, "No."
Elon is heavily invested in Atmos. You can't talk shit about it.
Apparently, that is just right out.
You have to choose sides. No, I really can't. I mean, I've tried. I've truly tried because Pro Tools has the whole Atmos experience too that you can mix in 3D spatial sound and I got the headphones for it and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this and I was like, my
Now,
wife couldn't hear the difference. I couldn't hear the difference. My daughter couldn't hear the difference, and we're all music lovers of different types of.
Some people overdo it too, where like you would mention hokey. Like sometimes if it's if it's a swirling sound, like in a Zeppelin song, swirling around you, like it's kind of cool if it does kind of and you hear it going like around behind and coming back around. But
you still hear it in stereo though.
Right.
Like that's what I'm saying is I don't.
This is
believe
more of
that
a
you hear
3D.
that.
Yeah.
I don't believe that you hear. I don't believe that there's anyone out there that hears music in 3D. I
Here's
just
the thing
don't
though,
buy
like
it.
stereo separation is different though. Like if I'm making a soundscape and I do put the bass a little bit off to the right and the guitar a little bit off to the left and the keys over there, like I can hear that difference spatially. But that's more of like you're saying, it's not 3D like fully, but they do kind of make 8.1 surround sound where you've got front left, front right, back left, back right, and both high and low.
Agreed.
So you can get any of those. But There's limited usefulness in that, and you can also be leaving out entire sections of your music if you're playing it in a different venue that doesn't happen to support 8.1, because like you're playing it in mono or whatever, they're just getting this channel, so they're not getting all that other stuff that you'd programmed over there.
I mean, how many venues have you been to? Like let's say you've been to a lot of venues. You've played a lot of venues. You've done live sound for a lot of venues. How many have you been to that have music coming from, you have the band up front, right? You have the band playing out. How many venues have you been in that you go, I don't know, 25, 30 feet back, and then there's another row of speakers playing behind people?
That's more for the concerts. Like when we go to Fish shows, for example, we see that all the time, where there's the bubble, the inner bubble, and then there's that outer layer out there. Most of the venues we're doing are smaller than that. They're more bar gigs, and if we're outside, it's more of just a stage pushing out, but not an enormous crowd.
I don't know. I mean, we watched. I mean, one of the biggest and most complicated stages to ever be put together was Eco for U2's. What was that tour that they did? Anyway, I have been inside of Eco because it's here in Utah. It's here at the aquarium in Utah, and I've heard it.
Nice.
When it's all projecting sound out. There's never sound going back in, because the confusion that would have entailed for having sound blasting back at you two on that stage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's where,
and
there are monitors in the front. That's not, different purpose, but that is where they're hearing like their individual things, or the individual things they need to hear to do their parts. Like I need to hear his vocals and him on the keys, but nothing else, or whatever. Like everybody has their individual pick of what they want in their mix. But yeah, if they just had reflected sound coming straight back at them from the crowd, you'd have that delay, and that's the problem. And that's also why that separate rack is out that far, because by the time the sound gets there, there's already enough of a delay where you're seeing it differently in the singer's mouth, for example, than you're hearing it. So they play it a little bit delayed out there, so that it's matching up with where what you're hearing is actually in time with what you're seeing.
But very rarely is that projected back towards the sound source. It's
Correct.
usually projected. Yeah. It's usually projected further out into the crowd. It's a secondary set of. You're talking about a secondary set of arrays that push sound further into the rest of the venue. What I'm talking about is I've never been to a venue to where I've been playing and I have 25, 35 feet out a set of speakers back at me.
Right, and that would be like you were saying that 8.1 coming in at you. Yeah.
It'd be bizarre. It just wouldn't work, and it doesn't work. I just really don't feel like that works for music. Music is very emotional and is very dimensional, and there's a lot of sound placement in your left and right, and like you said, being able to hear the bass come up over here, and hearing that swirl sound or whatever, but it's still stereo.
Yeah.
3D is just not real. Like I don't want Taylor Swift. I don't want Taylor Swift walking around me singing. Right. I would feel uncomfortable.
At the same time, though, like, picture yourself at a point where music was all mono, and they were just about to go stereo, and they're saying, "Oh, stereo is the next big thing," and you're like, "Well, there's nothing in my music that needs to be stereo," but they're saying, "Oh, but you need to go stereo so that it's compatible, so that they can play it on a stereo station or whatever." Like if it's something along those lines where they need it to be Atmos so that they can put it into a library, so that they can say the whole library is Atmos compatible, that's one thing. But if it's not gaining anything or giving you any benefit to the music, then yeah, what's the point, right?
Everybody was on board with mono to stereo.
Yeah.
There was
but before it happened though.
I mean, if you look at like some of the old catalogs of when stereo was coming out and the people that were supporting it, like it was an amazing invention. It was like, wow, I can hear it in both ears. You could hear it, and it wasn't this tin mess that was all the same flat. It added that dimension to it. I feel like it's kind of like where we've gotten with TVs at this point, to where we've gotten so far that people are like, "Oh, now we have 8K." I don't see shit, buddy.
Yeah. It's like my eyes don't even see the difference between 1K and 4K
yet. Now, 4K was big.
I did notice 4K.
I noticed 4K.
4K was noticeable.
But I don't notice 8K. Like I'm looking at it, I'm going, I think this is supposed to be better.
It does come down to your eyes too. So many people's eyes aren't really, fully 20/20 or whatever, where they, their eyes really aren't getting.
I got pretty good eyesight. Good eyesight.
If you utilize a 4K, if you do a 4K as a computer monitor, you notice it right away because you have four 1080 HD screens.
what you notice on what I've noticed on monitors is the refresh rate. So I noticed a huge jump from going from like 30 to 40 hertz to 145. That was a huge jump. That was an incredible jump in fidelity and the visual tuning and being able to play games, refresh rates. Like, it was amazing. It was awesome.
Oh, be
But
glad we're not using the refresh rates
didn't
from
it
the
came up?
90s. The
Oh god,
90s, we
I
were going
remember
blind.
they were going year, year, year.
The best was that I could tell if you're looking directly at a screen, that's one thing. But if you see a screen out of the corner of your eye, you can totally see the lines going.
Yeah.
That used to drive me nuts.
No, but I mean, it was. I think there are times to where we make these fantastic jumps and these wonderful jumps in technology, and then the industries just go, all right, I got a new word for you.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying.
3D.
Some of them
You're
are just all hype, and versus what have you. But even with like RTX being a jump in the visual stuff, right? Like talking about light source lighting, where there's a light source in the scene, and it's making this happen, rather than having to program all the shadows individually. If the jump was for some reason like that, where in order to use the music going forward, it needs to know where in the sound space to put everything. That's kind of a different thing too. But it's hard to say. Now, we did have a couple others we were going to do for the writing love songs with the lyrics and whatnot.
Yeah,
Oh
we
my
got
gosh.
a couple of love songs on
You take
piano.
We had done the first one.
Got one on writing better rap songs.
Nice. Well, have you picked this one, Tony? Which one you want to do?
Well, I've got this one for lyrics. I think
You know
it's,
what? I think you should do whatever one is specifically to love songs, because I really want to hear that one. Because I have a bet with Glenn that you don't know about.
Indeed.
I have a bet, and I want to know.
There's this one that how to write a love song for lyrics. So I think their approach is going to be from a lyricist's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
And
see
there was
what
another
it
one that
is.
was ideas for writing a love song that we'll get to later.
Oh yeah, we've got some in the front queue too.
Mm-hmm.
Ideas for making a love song. Step 1, be in love.
And feel musical. Step 2.
Step 3, stalk her a little bit.
No. Step 3
4.
plus record. Press record.
Step 4, stalk her a little bit. Step 5, change your name to Sting.
Oh.
Step 6, write about underage girls getting in relationships with a teacher.
No.
Step 7, write songs about watching her.
I thought step 7 was profit, or is that step 3?
Oh no, there's profit the whole time.
Love songs.
Okay, I think this is the right one. Let me just double
All right, I think
check.
that went off the rails a little bit. That was the wrong. We're not going that direction, chat. That is not okay.
That is not okay.
Hashtag me too.
So this one was how
Don't
to
laugh,
write
Glenn.
a love
Go
song
to hell on that
for
one.
lyrics.
I'm gonna catch some shit for that one.
That's for sure.
I can already feel like I would.
And this looks like an interesting channel over on YouTube. Holistic songwriting.
Nice.
So they're kind of taking a holistic approach to writing songs.
Let's see what they
He
say.
sells me. If he sells me on being vegan, we're gonna.
If he sells you on being vegan, then I'll turn into a vegan too.
No more bacon cheeseburgers for either of you.
You have to consult with Jake
Now,
before you
now,
convert
Glenn.
me.
Before we start this, I need Glenn to read from craft down to Holistic Songwriting Academy in his best Edward voice. Come on.
At
Please.
this resolution, oh my God, my screen is so small. Let's
You
see
can do
here.
this. You can do it.
Let's see here. No, I can't even read it on this screen. I have to see it over there. Let me see if I can see it on this one. No. I see craft your image, that part.
Yes, yeah, that part.
Here, let me
Come
move
on.
it over here. Craft your image and reveal it through your music. Yeah, it's so small I can't read it at all. Hey Tony, go up to like.
I I'm
You can
going to
zoom
stop
that in.
calling you Eagle Eyes.
Well, it's only because I'm watching it through our show. So like I'm watching it on the Band Lab stream of the show. So it's already like a little bit blurry from what I'm used to seeing
There
here.
you go.
If you were to see it in 4K, it'd be totally different.
See, that would be totally different. Oh, that's getting better. Now he's got to zoom down. Yeah. Craft your image and reveal it through your music. Learn to create music that makes bodies move, touches hearts, and captures minds. Music that only you could write. That's what we teach at Holistic Songwriting Academy. Find out more here.
That's pretty good.
No,
You're hired.
Hey. Now I just need a teleprompter with a better font. And I'll be all set.
So we're going to take a look at that. That's going to show us how to write a love song with lyrics, which is, I think, how a lot of people do write their love songs. They start with words.
Words like love.
This is Freedom of Fitness from Holistic Songwriting. Today we're talking about 5 tips for writing the perfect lyrics to a love song. Tip number 1, structuring with direction. All too many times I see songwriters write something that I call list lyrics. And basically they start out with something like, I love your hair, I love your lips, I love your eyes, I love your hands, I love your hair. And by the second verse, that's turned into something like, I love your left heel, I love your right heel, I love your chin, I love your shoulders, I guess. So they kind of run out of things to say and it just gets stupid very quickly. So you don't want to do that. What you want to do instead is you want to figure out a way of structuring your song before you even start writing it. So you want to know exactly what you're going to say in your first verse, in your second verse, and in your bridge before you start writing a single line. And here's 3 structures that you can use for that. Number 1, me, you, us. You start in the first verse talking about yourself. I'm just this guy from Alabama. Second verse, you're this amazing woman from New York. Third verse or bridge, and together we're amazing. Number 2, past, present, future. Before I knew you, I didn't even brush my teeth every day. Today, everything's better and I've gotten a better person. And in future, I never want this to end and I want this to go on forever. And number 3 is false. This is a kind of tricky one. But for a good example of this, check out Music and Lyrics, the movie with Hugh Grant, where he sings a song for Drew Barrymore in the 3rd act. And basically the idea is you need a lot of humor for this one. Don't just list faults of her because this is going to backfire very quickly. So this is a tricky one to use and it can be very dangerous. But if you do it right, this is extremely powerful because it opens up your significant other and then you can really, do a home run with your big message at the end of your song. But basically, you talk about things that she's doing wrong. And in the movie, he says something like, you constantly forget to water my plants, stuff like that. So he's listing all these things that are just kind of funny and charming. That's kind of the thing that you want to do with this third way of structuring your song. Tip number 2 is using the right words. And there's 5 tips that I have for you guys here. Number 1, be specific. Don't write just another generic love song. We have too many of those already in the world. Write about specific situations that have happened between you and your significant other. Because if someone is out there who's lived through something similar, and believe me, it's the world, everyone has, there's definitely some other people who have lived through something very similar to what you've gone through. And if they hear that, they're going to be like, oh my God, that song was written about me because this is so specific, no one else could know about this. And that really has so much more of an emotional impact on people than if they hear yet another generic love song. Number 2, be charming. Use a lot of humor, really important, always goes over well. Number 3, be emotional. This is what I call using power words. And I always use the comparison. If you use the word fish, that doesn't have a lot of emotion. But if you use the word shark, that does have a lot of emotional impact. And that's the stronger word. That's the emotional power word that you want to use. And there's a whole article on my website, on my blog, which you can read all about power words if you want to learn more about this. Number 4, be yourself. Don't use words that you don't normally use. Don't use longer words. Don't be over emotional if that's not your style in real life. Don't rhyme just because you want to rhyme. If the lyrics don't make sense, then just be yourself. That's kind of the most important thing. You want to, if your significant other really loves you, they love you for who you are, hopefully, and they want you to be yourself in the song as well. And they don't want you to put on an act. And number 5, go with your guts. All the tips that I'm giving you are just guidelines. If you want to write a 50-minute love song, up to you. If you know your significant other is going to like it, obviously do it. But go with your guts. That's kind of the most important thing. There is no wrong or right here. It's
I mean, it's always, as always with songwriting, it's about writing about your emotions and stuff like that. But obviously, go with your guts. Really, really important, especially in something as important as an honest love song. Number 3, be careful with metaphors. Metaphors are tricky because they so easily can disguise what you're trying to say with a song, so you don't want to use too many metaphors, or you don't want to use unclear metaphors. First of all, there's the worst kind of metaphors is the one that is a cliched metaphor, stuff like "you are the light" or "you are my heart only beats for you." Stuff like that is just terrible. Just never ever use metaphors like that. But then there's the other metaphors which are so abstract that no one gets them anymore. So what you want to use is metaphors that are very clear and that really make it clear what you're trying to say. And if you have someone, an extreme example of this might be you talk about the birds and the bees and they don't understand what you're talking about, right? So you want to be clear with your metaphors. And obviously birds and the bees is a very clear metaphor, but and a very cheesy one at that. You don't want to use metaphors that no one understands. You want to be clear in your message. You don't want the song to end and her to be like, "Oh, that's a nice song, thank you," and she doesn't understand what the song is about at all, or he. Number 4 is don't use cliches. We've already talked about this a little bit. Just don't use those corny lines. Even saying "I love you" might. I think that's a kind of tricky line. It depends very much on how you say it. But saying "I love you" in a love song is kind of a cliche already. So I think there's stronger ways of saying it than going all flat out saying "I love you." So there's a lot of leeway there, but be very careful about using cliches and corny stuff. If you feel like you've heard it before, it's probably not a good idea to use it. And lastly, number 5, use contrast. We've already kind of talked about that with the false structure. By opening her up, you start kind of negative, and that way you kind of make her vulnerable, and then the contrast is even stronger when you deliver your big message. That has a lot of impact. And what I always recommend for writing love songs is to start out small, start very grounded in reality, start very honest, very real, very no bullshit, and then later in the song you sort of evolve that into something more emotional, bigger, grander, and more you could say naive, I guess, but evolve it into something more anthemic, if you will. That's it. If you want more, you can check out this website by clicking on the download button below for the free Ultimate Songwriting Toolkit, which includes 143 commercial chord progressions, 201 song titles, and 3 song arrangements. You can also please subscribe and comment below, check the blog, and follow us on Facebook. Thank you very much for watching. This is Freedom of Finesse Realistic Songwriting, and see you next week.
I think me and Jake just came up with a good song idea while we were watching that.
Nice.
And I can work with G and E minor.
Yeah.
No, it's just gonna be E. That's it.
Just E minor, kind of like a funk song. Just E minor,
all the way through. And I'm gonna use cliches. It's gonna be zero contrast because it's gonna be creepy as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and those
creepy
tips,
E minor vibe.
Those were good tips. His second tip really covered a lot of ground when it comes to being funny, being genuine. Don't talk or word things in a way that you normally wouldn't. It makes it harder to be genuine if you try to write your words in a way that you don't speak.
Yeah, be natural.
You know what? I'm gonna write an E minor song in iambic trimeter.
Nice.
In the words of Shakespeare.
And it's gonna be so creepy. And it's oh.
That's a good challenge, though, to purposely flip like those kinds of suggestions on their head.
Mm-hmm.
Because a song with cliches, a song that really is full of cliches, if it's done right, could be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what was that song? If I had $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
If I had $1 million.
Yeah. I would buy you a green dress. No, not green. Like it works. It's hilarious too. And so I don't know. I like the video.
Oh, the other point with that second point that he made that I thought was important is connecting. A great love song does connect to a listener in a way where it's like, whoa, that's me. That I felt that. Earlier, Jake, when you were playing your song, and there was a line in there where it's like, I ain't got no money and I'll never be your man, dude. Man, I have said that.
Yeah, I mean, but there's also a side to music. There are a lot of. I like the video. I'm just gonna leave it at I like the video, but I think my honest opinion is it was a little too serious, and it was a little too serious on kind of the side of. We hear this all. Don't do that. Yeah, you know, it's
It was
just
a
not.
little,
It's just
little
not good.
cliche.
Yeah, and I was just like, I don't really like. There's got to be fun in it, and the best love songs, in my opinion, are the fun ones. You know, they're
Well,
fun, they're great.
and I think that's why in that second suggestion, being funny, that was his second tip in that second suggestion was, bring humor into the equation.
Do you want to hear a deeply moving love song? Listen to "Elephant" by Jason Isbell in the 500 Unit. Now, "Elephant," I'll give you the kind of the lowdown song. The song is about his friend. It's a female that's dying from cancer, and his journey through it with her. It is so incredibly touching because there are cliches in it and because there are moments of realistic humor. Like one part is like she writes her own doctor's notes and she sits on a bar stool like nobody sits anymore. You know, like there's different things that they talk about in it, and it's like, damn, it's so incredibly powerful because it is real, because cliches are real. A lot of people, the reason they're cliches is because they happen to so many people.
Right. They got that way for a reason. Yeah.
and so I just can't I don't know. I like it. I like the video. I think the video is good. I think it definitely has some merits, but I think it also has the ability to just go, I'm going to do the complete opposite of what this guy said.
Oh yeah. It's not a 100% rule. I mean, there are exceptions
Yeah.
to the rule. You can make something work, without following those rules. But at the same time, they're good tips for somebody starting out who doesn't know what they're doing. Getting them started on the right path.
Earlier when I was searching around, I was curious, what Google would come back with the greatest love songs of all time.
Nice.
Wow.
And some of them I'm like, oh hell yeah, Unchained Melody. I would definitely call that a classic love song.
Last, really?
Yeah, some of them surprised the hell out of me too.
Like Outlast is a great song, don't get me wrong, but I would
Well,
not put that as like the best long song ever. I Want to Know What Love Is, definitely in my top 10.
When a Man Loves a Woman.
When a Man Loves a Woman, depends on who sings it.
Yeah. Well, Michael Bolton kind of banged it.
Oh, absolutely.
That was
Banger.
kind of. Can't
John
help
Legend's
falling in
album,
love. Elvis definitely.
You know,
Crazy.
I'm also a very I'm very partial to Dolly Parton's version of "I Will Always Love You,"
Same
even
here.
though the first one that I heard, obviously, was
I think
not.
for everybody was Whitney.
Right, I think, but Dolly Parton, just totally. It's different when she sings it.
It
It's
almost
so
makes
different.
me cry when I hear her sing it. It has a sadness to it.
Love Story by Taylor Swift. Ew.
No, see, they get thinking about
Ew.
you.
Don't get me wrong. I like.
I
Taylor
mean,
Swift. I do like
technically,
Taylor Swift.
some of these are love songs, but they're more like I like to think of a love song as like, a person telling another person, how they feel about them. And if you're like, I've been thinking about you is more like a stalker song.
I don't know,
It's
man.
it's like
I don't see the police
every
on here
breath you
yet.
take. Yeah, see, that's
If it's
what I'm
is it on the
talking
list?
about.
Is it on the list? I
It
wonder.
I'm trying to
probably
think of
would
which one
be.
I was thinking of. Three Times a Lady, is that the one?
Oh, three times a
Oh,
late.
that's a good
Yeah.
one.
Aerosmith. I don't want to miss a thing. That's a good one. That's a great song.
Yeah, and
Well,
Take My Breath Away was
did we,
fantastic.
did
Perfect.
we,
That's one of the Perfect is one of the most popular wedding songs these days. My sister had it at her wedding, my cousin.
Perfect is a masterpiece.
what
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Wonderful Tonight?
Oh, that's
Oh
one of
yeah,
my all-time
absolutely.
favorites.
Oh, there it is. Bottom left. Oh,
Oh, there
there's
it is. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Look at that.
No, the list
You're
doesn't
still the
suck.
one.
There,
Shania
there,
Twain.
there's a lot
Still
of
the
them
one?
that.
Such Great Heights is a fantastic song too. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Chasing Cars
Chasing.
for a modern song, like that's actually legit.
Your love keeps
Such
lifting me
Great
high.
Heights was a lot better than Chasing Cars. A lot better.
Oh, and Bruno Mars, he's got a couple that I would actually put in here, but that one
Just the
is
Way
a
You
great one.
Are is
When I Was Your Man, like that
When I Was Your
is
Man, much better.
a love song where like I'm writing about breaking up with you and missing you. It's everything your great love songs can feed off of.
Just the Way You Are had a doting vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like almost creepy doting. Almost creepy doting.
We got
Yeah,
I Got You,
I like
Babe over there too.
I liked how they used Just the Way You Are in Pitch Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Acapella,
You know,
that
I
one
have
came out
not
fantastic.
watched any of the Pitch Perfect movies. I have watched
Oh,
clips of them
watch
only
the
because I
first one.
love Adam Devine. I
If you
love
watch
him.
any of them, watch the first one. It stands on its own.
I don't know. Hi, that's She's got eyes and it's me. My childhood memories.
We're gonna get Jake acapella. You're coming back for acapella night.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
God, we're having an acapella night.
I've thought of it.
We are now.
Oh boy. Oof. Oof. I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm quite ready for that.
Barbershop quartet night.
I
Oh,
will
we've
play
got.
the I will play the vocal guitar.
Boom, 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 boom.
Did you just go into Guns N' Roses with your
We did.
mouth? Sweet child of mine.
I think we played that
So
one
I
at the
gotta
jam 2 weeks ago.
so I gotta know, Glenn, have you written any love songs?
Recently, no. I have one
No,
that
I mean
started.
ever.
Yeah, yeah. There's one that I have that is one of these like Tony talks about having songs that are in the in the in the mix for a long time before they become a song. I have one that I had started working on. Kind of words kind of came to me, and then when I started feeling it out, it started feeling like a country song, and I had never really done much country ever. So like I just got I would try to play it, and I would just play like one chord and like and then like sing a line, and then like play another chord and sing a line, and I'm like that just doesn't work. That's not the way this goes. Like it doesn't feel right. So I do have I can go back and find the lyrics somewhere here, but yeah, it was definitely more imagery kind of stuff, like not direct stuff, not sappy really. I mean, in some ways probably very sappy, but
Well, that's the
not
hardest thing to
intentionally sappy.
avoid when
Yeah,
you're writing a love song. Avoiding the sap factor.
yeah,
I like the sap factor.
Well, it
yeah.
can work, but at the same time, you got to be aware of it.
I'll definitely find them for you though, because
If you're
it was
doing
fun.
a country song, you can sap it up. If you're doing a
Mhm.
rock song, you've got to pull the sap out in order to turn it into rock.
Mhm.
Rock love songs aren't as sappy as country love songs.
Bullshit.
Jake's gonna prove me wrong. He's like, "Watch, I'm gonna write the sappiest
No, no,
rock
no, no, no.
song."
No, 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 no. I'm gonna name a song that's going to instantly crash that entire thing down. And I already named it. I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith.
There you
That
go.
is the sappiest
True.
love song of all time. Either that or I Want to Know What Love Is.
Yeah.
Mhm. Sure.
But it is
separate
it is a
ways.
masterpiece. Like, Foreigners, it was like the sappiest possible that you could get out of that band at that
Or
time.
what was the name of that song?
Alone.
Ooh, no. Freaking Jack Black and Jimmy Fallon did a shot for shot of it. It was so good. If I wouldn't have started thinking of it, I wouldn't have had a problem naming it for you. Give you like 2 seconds, I'm gonna tell you.
The Jeopardy sound in the background. Doo, doo.
More Than Words. Extreme.
Oh, extreme.
More
Yeah.
Than Words. Now tell me.
Actually, I'll one
I
up
just
that.
named-
Mr. Big. I'm the one
Okay.
who wants to be- Dude, that was even more sappy than Extreme.
So, like I said, that whole rock thing, totally. I mean, Hinder, Lips of an Angel.
Oh, but I did
my
like
God.
Hinder's his
Sappy.
voice. But his voice is like Steven Tyler, one of a kind kind of scratch.
Yes. I just, there are more sappy love songs, and I mean sappy love songs in rock than probably any other genre, because they're bleeding heart songs. They're these guys that, yeah, I'm one of them. I've written I have sappy love songs. So, this is not an insult to anybody.
Yeah.
This is me going, this is what rockers do. I wrote absolutely sappy love songs. Sappy love songs. Because my heart was broken. And I wanted to yell about it. And I did. And I let everybody know.
As listeners, we like love songs to help us deal with or to appreciate. As writers, we need to feel love in order to be compelled to write it. I don't see many people actually write good love songs if they're not feeling love.
Like you said, like the greatest loves, the sappiest love songs are definitely in rock. But the best imagery for love songs is got to be in country.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Zach Bryan, Something in the Orange. Dude wrote a song about a sunset how a girl makes him feel in the sunset, and never said the word sunset and never said the word girl. Like, he puts you in a place to where you're like, I know what he's talking about. And he never says it. You just know what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's where the metaphors that
imagery.
video was talking about, the metaphors, where you use metaphors and imagery like that.
Country
you don't
has
have
that down.
And that could be part of why like that song felt like country when I started putting it together, because it it does have the imagery in there. It does have again, less being specific about things, more setting a scene, more talking about that sort of a thing. But it actually started as a verse. So or not the verse, but the chorus. So it started as the chorus is what kind of came to me, and going around with the chorus, and then kind of it fit into the rest of the story, or the rest of the story kind of built out from there. It's kind of cool.
I think everybody's guilty of it, but I've written so many sappy love songs, they've been so bad. And I've written some good ones.
I can count at least one hand's worth.
I know there's been some bad ones, man. Like it's
Sorry, Stunna, we're not doing links tonight, but you can send them over to Angified, and she'll check them out for another show.
I've written love songs.
Yeah, DM them to Angified.
I lose the audio.
Oh, Glenn muted.
Oh, I was like,
I think he had to fart.
So I've written the songs.
A beverage.
There you go. I've written the songs that I've written and been like, oh, this is great. This is good. This is really good. And then I've let it out and then gone back and listened to it later and went, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Well, love songs are the ones that in the moment you might feel like so passionate as you're writing it. And then when the emotion's all done and you're not feeling that emotion anymore, you listen back and it's like, holy shit, I was a mess.
Now imagine if you were, if you wrote that song and you put it out there and you needed to perform that, every night or, every week or whatever. And like, if you're not feeling that every week.
More than words.
Yeah.
Guarantee you.
Oh, I bet you it pissed Nuno off every time they asked him to play that song.
Yeah. It happens. You know, get famous for a song that you don't really like. I mean, that can happen.
You're like, this one again.
And it could be a song that you totally loved, and when you made it, but then sometimes they just overplay the crap out of it. I'm reminded of
this was a band that didn't have that typical sound. That was the one song on the album that was the obligatory ballad, and for Nuno, he must have been cringing every time he had to play it because it's totally not their sound.
Every radio station is like, play more than words.
I'd rather play Knocking on Heaven's Door.
No, we've heard that one. More than words. You have your acoustic with you?
Come on, Freebird.
Do that for us really quick.
Freebird.
I just imagine how awful that had to have been.
Lots of fun.
Yeah, dude. I would have given anything at one point in my life to really be a rock star. That I look back on it, and I'm like, I'm so glad I wasn't.
Like, I would have been a terrible rock star.
The way you perform, Jake, you are a rock star.
I would have been so bad. No, I would have been awful. I would have been so hooked up. I would have been a crazy cokehead, losing my mind. I would have been out there chasing tail every night. I would have been as bad as Motley Crue, trashing hotel rooms. I would have been terrible. I would not fit for it. Now, I could go on tour, and I'd sit in my camper and be like, all right, time to go play my songs, and then be like, all right,
go to bed by 10.
And mean it. I'd be like, good night, everybody, and then go to bed.
Open the window of your camper. Hey, keep it down out there. I'm trying to get some sleep. You kids.
Keep it down.
Get off my lawn.
I would have been terrible with the rock star life when I was younger, but now I'd be like, I could do it now. I could definitely do it now.
That's part of the musical evolution. I was the same way when I was young, partying at the band room, and tail was more of a priority than the music for 20 years. And, when you get older and music's still there, you change your priorities.
It either gets better or... I feel like there's two sides to that coin. We all know those people that get such tunnel vision trying to make that last thing happen. And they hit it so hard, and you're like, you are trying so hard, and it's not working. You need to stop. You need to go back to what you're talented. You are talented. Be talented. Just be talented. Stop doing this. And you see that, and it's like, dang, come on, man.
Yeah, and you got to ask yourself whether you really need to, because trying hard, putting effort into something is a good thing. But if you're putting so much effort into something and it's not coming to fruition, you got to ask yourself, why do you have to work that hard?
He offered to take me to lunch Saturday, and so he could give me a ride around.
NBA, you sent that song in. That's good. That means she can check it out, and she'll probably put it on a show on another night. Tonight we're actually going to be wrapping up in about half an hour or so, a little longer. But we got a couple things that are already set up for tonight, so we're not actually taking links for this show. But good sending it over. She'll check it out, and she'll get into another show on another night.
So, are we going to write a love song now together?
Sure.
I want to write one that completely contradicts all his rules, especially because the fifth rule was about contradiction and contrast.
Well, with contradiction and contrast, instead of writing your standard love song, write a song about how you don't hate someone or whatever. Like, instead of the love side, you go with the what you don't. You don't hate this, you don't hate that, as opposed to I love this or I love that.
Actually, I Hate Everything About You was the contrast to a love song.
Yeah, there you go. The anti-love song.
And it did kind of break all the rules.
Bye. I don't know what you want from us.
Mm-hmm. Right. But this is what we're doing.
No, I think that what I wanted to touch on, I'm actually going to leave a little bit before the show's over. Probably going to leave here in the next 5-10 minutes. I did want to touch on one thing that a lot of videos don't. And I think it's the anti-love song, maybe. Maybe that's the best way to put it, like the anti-hero type thing. Because like that song that I played at the beginning, that's a love song, but it is not traditional in any way, shape, or form.
No.
It is heartbreaking. It is sad. It is a lonely, lonely, lonely love song. And so I think there's different ways to write love songs that are, you can add that contrast that he was talking about.
Well, and you can talk about different kinds of love. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be the love
Dying
for,
love.
say, a woman. It could be the love for a dog. It could be the love for God.
You got to be careful with love for dogs.
Well, if it's a country song, your dogs, your
You got to
trucks,
really be
they're
careful
part of the
then.
recipe.
But you can love your truck all you want.
You can love your
Well,
truck.
in the old days,
Can't
that
love your
was the
sheep.
joke with country songs is like a happy country song. My dog came back to life and my truck fixed itself.
Oh, yeah. A Ford specifically.
Yeah, because we don't do no Chevys in
Oh,
country.
old Ford just started right up. And look who's running down the road. It's
Oh, and
Mad
my
Dog
woman came
Red.
back. The woman came back, the
Woman came
dog
back. That's
came
the
back to
that's the other
life, and
Yeah,
the
like,
truck
like,
got fixed.
and my mom got out of prison.
part. All on the same day.
I was drunk the day my mama got out of prison. And I
That's
went
good.
to pick her up in the rain.
Had to buy a
But
lottery ticket somewhere in there.
before I could
Oh,
get
and
her
country
in my
singers have talked about their
pickup
love
truck,
for whiskey. For some
she
reason,
got
whiskey
run
and
over
country
by a dang
go hand in
old
hand.
train. And I'll hang around as long as you will let me.
Got to get that swing in there. The sway.
We're headed to Nashville, Jake.
Shit.
All right.
Oh no, I don't belong in Nashville. I don't belong in Nashville now. God, Nashville's so weird.
It's a
Like,
different Nashville, yeah.
it's so different, and I don't know. It's weird, man. I don't know. Music is weird. Music has changed a lot. Music is
Well,
weird in the best
it's
of ways.
spread out. It's spread out a lot more now. Now that home studios are doing what the studios used to do. Oh,
Tiki
I
tack.
blanked.
Nolan Taylor. He's gonna be the next big thing from TikTok. He sings a song called 68. Heart-wrenching song, full of emotion, like just flat out real. Like there's some really talented people on TikTok that would never have been found otherwise, which is sad.
Yeah. Sad, but also good that they
So
were
talented.
found in that way.
Yes, very much so.
Oh, there's so many different ways to be found these days. And pick your poison.
I'm gonna write the dumbest love song in E minor, and that's gonna be the one that somebody's gonna call me on. And I'm like, "Are you fucking serious? Did you see the video that led up to this?"
Exactly.
And I would have sent a message in the chat, you'd be like, "No way!" And I'm like, "Fucking way!"
Yeah.
It's this one.
And he's going to be going, E minor, bitch.
E minor, E minor.
That was
It
the
was
answer.
so easy the whole time.
That was the answer.
I didn't even need to learn how to play guitar. I need to learn how to make one chord.
Yeah. And it's an easy one. Could you pick an easier chord?
No, you can. What is it? I guess, yes, you can. It's
E minor seventh.
ninth. Seventh. Yeah, there's one string, right? E minor seventh or E minor ninth? Which
E
one is
minor.
it?
Well, if I did an E minor 7, I'd only be using like one finger on
Yeah,
one,
yours one finger.
right? And then just all the other 5 are open.
Yeah, that's right. So 7.
8 finger second fret, yeah.
Yeah. Hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Blong.
E minor 7.
Slightly out of tune.
Yeah, there's got to be a little bit of twang in there. Yeah. Either that, or at the very end, you could always as you're hitting the last one, you take the lowest note, you just kind of meow.
Yeah.
You dive bomb it at the
I can
end.
just use my Bixby.
Yeah. That works. That's what it's for. You got to use it.
This
You
is
might
going to be so bad. I'm going to do this.
Yes,
I'm
you are.
telling you, it's going to happen. And y'all are going to play it. You're
Yes.
going to play it.
Love song challenge. Oh,
bet
you make it, I will play it.
Is this recorded right now?
Oh yeah.
Okay, it's good. So this is recorded. So you're
Yeah,
just gonna
it's
have to
official.
take. You're gonna have to take one of these clips from here, and you're gonna have to go. This is where he said he's gonna do it, and then you're just gonna have to go into it. Just do like the quick little music video, and I'm gonna make it cheesy as hell. I'm gonna. I think I have, like, I'm gonna make a video for the song.
You should.
Okay.
You should.
Make a video for the song. I'm gonna send it in.
And we'll put it right there.
I'm gonna put it right here. And it's gonna be awful.
Perfect. We love awful.
We're gonna do this. This is gonna be fantastic. And I swear to God,
I want extra cheese and double sap.
Oh yeah.
I swear if it gets picked up, so like if that's the one that I start trending on Bandcamp
Hey,
for,
you never know.
I mean, that's the thing is awful can be fantastic in so many ways. I mean, that's the thing.
All right.
Oh, and it's not
I'm gonna have it by
uncommon
next
that
Thursday.
an artist doesn't like their biggest hit. Like, there's so many times where the artist really despises the song that like breaks them and makes them succeed. Those aren't always the songs that are close and personal to them.
Speaking of, this just dawned on me. I'm gonna send this over to you. You'll have to put it in one of your shows. There's a new documentary out about the very early life of Elton John, and there's a bunch of video from him really early, of him writing Tiny Dancer.
Nice.
You have to see it. It is incredible, his process. It's amazing. It is absolutely 100% absolutely amazing. You have to watch it. If you wanna take music lessons for writing music, man, the guy Elton John and the guy who wrote most of his music for him, that's where you take it from.
They were master
That's where you take it.
songwriting.
Because I can't remember the guy's name.
Elton has perfect pitch. You know, we looked at perfect pitch a couple weeks ago. Elton is one of those rare individuals. Has it?
Bernie Taupin.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like what? Man, those two were a match made in heaven when it came to music, because he could write it and then Elton could play it and put it together and make it happen. Because it is incredible to see, because it's much like, I don't know if you guys saw the movie Rocket Man.
Not yet, no.
Oh yeah, I loved the Rocket Man movie. I mean, it
Fantastic
was
rendition.
you know, Hollywood always takes its liberties, but I think they did justice.
I think they did it the right way. I think they did that one in particular the right way. But there are certain scenes in there where he's sitting at the piano and he's getting the music and he's writing it and he's kind of going through that process. Didn't realize how real
your
that
song
was.
when he's doing your song, yeah.
Oh, so real, man, so real. And but Elton and Bernie, like I said, that is something that is how you write music. That is what we should all aspire to, is the way that was done, because he was taking poetry written by someone that was very passionate and had these amazing just thoughts coming through it that couldn't put it into a musical to save his life. And then you had Elton going, oh, let's make it musical. And
perfect compliment.
Like, oh, that's songwriting. That's the best songwriting ever. And there's other people that were like that. You know, another great, E. Schneider, and was a fantastic musician, and very well spoken. And the way that they wrote was very similar to, you know, the Elton style. They get that stuff together. Queen, another great musical writing group. Freddie was incredible in his own rights, but the rest of the group did amazing things. Brian May, what an incredible guitarist. And so, I mean, you look back on it, it's not all about, sometimes it's not inventing something new to make it work. Sometimes it's taking what has already been done and going, this fucking works. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
And just let's do it again.
Reproducing a sound that you can
Redo it.
capture. Yeah.
Don't cover it. Just redo that. Just go out into a barn in the middle of nowhere, isolate yourself for a few days, and write a damn song. You know, or sit in front of a piano in your mom's living room, and just really feel it out.
And keep it simple is the idea, because a lot of the biggest enemy is just trying to overcomplicate things. You know, you're like, oh, I'm getting more fancy
Well,
this
that's where
time than
you
last
get
time.
some of that tunnel vision. Sometimes comes from that overwhelm of trying to do too much.
So in my experience, complicated is much easier than simple. Because complicated is just easy. It just happens. And you're suddenly like...
When you have it set up the way you do, like even complicated, you're a structured kind of guy. I can see you starting with templates and knowing like this is what I do in the process. This is having it set up so even a complicated setup is easy to work with.
Me and Jason are alike in that sense.
Yeah. Jason's a master of just whipping, putting together, and finished.
Jason Jacobs is an incredible example of knowing what you do and knowing what you do well and doing it the same way every time. And producing a sound that you know is you. Like he has found himself in what he works on and what he does and the way that he writes, the way that he puts it together, the way that he structures it, the way that he moves through his DAW, his workflow. Everything about it screams, I've been working on this for a very fucking long time, and this is what works. And that's what I love about him. Like, I love watching him do anything. It's amazingly fun. It is incredible. And to see his workflow, because my workflow looks nothing like his.
Yeah, mine too.
Like
I have a very sporadic workflow.
Mine is not sporadic. I definitely use templates, and I have just a different style. But there's certain parts of our workflow that kind of blend over. Like sometimes we'll go through, we'll have a whole song traced out, ready to rock, and then we're like, what are we gonna talk about? I don't fucking know. Let's just start screaming. And we'll just go through and record it, unrecord it, record it, delete it, take another take, boom, boom, make it through the whole song, listen to it and go, oh, that just doesn't fucking make any sense. And then go back and go, okay, this is where we're gonna go. I liked this part, so let's build on this. Let's go backwards a little bit. Let's come back.
And then snipe the good parts.
Yeah. And then you just build in those takes, and then you go, okay, this would be really cool to build in some choruses here. This would be really cool to, add some background vocals right here. Okay, now we're gonna do this. There's certain things that kind of take precedence, but he is a master. I am not there yet. I have not figured out my sound yet. Getting there. I think I'm getting close.
I'll tell you what I'm hearing with the mic and the guitar, and especially how you can get it into like Zoom and here. You're getting damn close.
I'm getting damn close. I know I'm close. There's going to be a couple of things that are just going to sit it over the top, and I'm just going to find it. It's going to happen by accident. Just like, finishing out that damn chord progression happened on accident. It'll happen. But yeah, I'm not gonna push it anymore. I'm not gonna sit there and get that tunnel vision and do that whole thing. But I am very inspired to get to that moment of clarity of this is what works and this is how I'm going to do it. This is what I'm going to do every time. I'm excited to get to that point because now I've seen it. Now I know I can get there.
Yeah,
if
once
Jason
you
can
get
get there,
to that
I can
point,
get there.
That's the sound that you can run with.
Exactly.
You've gotten there.
That'll be the moment I put out my album.
Nice.
Oh, I can't wait.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to jump out of here. I appreciate you guys inviting me on the show tonight. It's been way too long since I've been on this with you guys.
You are always welcome.
And there's Jason. There's Jason.
We'll be talking all sorts of gear. Gear Horrors is coming.
No, I think this is.
And you're a gear guy.
I am. Jason, he was straight up love, my dude.
Oh yeah, Jason felt love.
I am. If everybody that's in this chat that's watching this stream, if you don't go and check out the new album that Jason is putting together, you are missing out on a work of frickin' art. A work of frickin' art. It is phenomenal. It doesn't matter if you like metal or not. It is good. It is so good. And that's all I can say.
It will make you it will make you rethink metal.
And if you had seen some of the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it, and seen some of the Jason moments that we watched in the Zoom,
Yep, a lot of intense looks.
I know. I thought he was mad at me. Turns out he was singing.
Indeed.
No, it is all love, my guy, and everybody here should go and check that album out. The Devil Within, right? That's the name of it.
The Devil
and it's
Within.
with it's Jason Jacobs and Andrew Weissman.
Andrew Weissman.
Yeah, and then I think I don't know if he took my advice. I told him to get a girl on one of those tracks.
Oh, Jason has lots of girls. Man. Are you kidding?
So, yeah, there's one that's just like, man, this is a duet. You got to do it. You got to get a girl on this one. I hope he does. Whatever he does with it, whatever he does with the rest of the album is going to be. There it is. YouTube.com/@thedevilwithinband. There you go.
That's
it is. Go check it out. It is.
Yeah,
it's absolutely
like, share, and subscribe.
Amazing. It doesn't matter what your musical preference is. Again, it is phenomenal. All right, guys. Indeed. I'm getting out of here. Thank you again.
Hey, come back anytime, man. Come back anytime.
You know I will. When I can make time. That's what it comes down to. It's when I can make time.
And I'll find those lyrics and I'll send them over to you.
I can make it back.
I will have it. I will have it done by next Thursday.
Nice.
You will have a video. You will have a very cheesy love song. And you will have this moment to come back on. It'll be hilarious. It's gonna be funny. You know what? I might even bust out Bubblegum Young.
Wow.
He's my alter ego.
All right. We look forward to it.
He longboards in shorts that are way too tight.
I see.
All right, catch you guys later.
Take care, man.
Good night, Jake. Thanks for coming.
Always a pleasure.
What a treat.
Yep.
I
and
love
like you said, it's been
hanging out with him. It's always an educational experience, inspirational.
Yep, and some good topics, man. And diving right into love songs. And he started with a live performance at the beginning. If you guys missed it at the beginning of the show, go back and check it out because it was definitely awesome.
It's going to be in our recording. You're going to want it.
Yes, indeed.
I'm going to clip it, actually.
Yeah. It's a good one. And we had more videos to go through still. From more love song stuff and some just on writing for lyrics. We've got a few different things. Not sure how much we'd have time for tonight. Let's see how it goes.
I think we got time for one more.
Oh, yeah? Which one are you thinking? We had a few to choose from. Again, going back to that studio and that first video we watched, he had just crazy amounts of gear in there and so many good options.
Oh, I did like this one. One of the new channels I found, this girl, and she's got a whole bunch of different topics on different songwriting approaches, but I really liked her advice on this. Where is she? Here she is.
Yeah.
Okay, it's April Keys over on YouTube.
Nice.
And the video I was looking at hers was ideas for writing a love song, which goes with what gets you motivated, what gets you started with a love song. And it doesn't always have to be a significant other. That's our go-to. But
when I saw the title of that one, it got me thinking about that South Park episode with Cartman. I was like, no, don't even go there. But this should be good, so we'll check it out.
I'm April. I am a music teacher and singer-songwriter, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to write a love song. If you enjoy this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss anything in the future. So it is February 6th, which means that we are about a week out from Valentine's. And as we all know, Valentine's is serious times. So we gotta get the ball rolling on those gifts, which means songwriting! if you have been burning the mid-February oil, this is a really great way to make sure that you've got something lovely for your significant other. Or if you don't have one, maybe this is a good time to figure out how to get one. So I heard a quote once, which was that if you ever want to write about love, you should write about coffee. The reason that this is such a compelling quote, in my humble opinion, is the fact that it conjures up a lot of senses. It really does make you think about smell and taste and sound, and those are exactly the things that we want to conjure up when we're writing a song about someone we love. So this brings me to the first thing that I wanted to touch on today, which is metaphor. Metaphor is a really beautiful thing that you can use to enhance your songwriting. However, be careful here, because when you do use metaphor, you want to avoid cliches at all cost. And when I say cliche, I'm referring to phrases that you hear all the time that have kind of lost meaning over time. For instance, love is a rose. The sadness is the thorns. And each petal is something about, layers of love or something to that effect. So we want to avoid those kinds of metaphors that have become kind of trite over time. In order to come up with a better metaphor, what I want you to do is start by looking at the specific person who you are writing about. And it's totally okay if the person you're writing about doesn't even exist. That's totally fine. Because what you get to do then is create this ideal partner, which is kind of fun. Just don't make it a manic pixie dream girl. We don't want that. Get it out of here. So think of the things that you and your partner or hopeful partner or imaginary partner share. Think about the things that make your relationship special. So for instance, think about the fact that you drink your coffee together in the morning. Think about the long drives that you've gone on together. You can think about the fact that you maybe work in the same field and so you have that in common. All sorts of things like that are great. And then you're able to really use those things to create a cool metaphor that might be unexpected to someone else who has never experienced your relationship. All of that brings us to our next lyric idea, which is that it feels much more special to hear a song about specifics than it does to hear a song about broad terms. So for instance, if I were to hear a song about my eyes or my hair or any of those other kind of superficial things, I might get a little bit bored, but it's only because those are things that we kind of hear over and over and over in the world. There are tons of songs that literally just say, I love you because you're beautiful, or because you're smart, or because you're special in some vague way. We want to nail down those teeny little specifics. Those are the really important thing. So think about it. What kind of hair does this person have if you're going to talk about their hair? What things do they like? What things don't they like? Start to really pick apart individual things about them. Their favorite chair in your apartment. Think about their favorite food. And even better, focus in on a specific memory. Because when we focus in on a specific memory, we're able to really cultivate a lot of special, important, specific imagery. If you're speaking about your wedding day, for instance, don't just say, she was wearing a white dress, or he was wearing a suit. Instead, talk about the lace in the veil. Talk about the tie. Talk about when you shopped for the tie. Talk about their cuticles. Talk about their elbows or their eyelashes. Talk about little tiny things that you wouldn't necessarily expect to hear someone sing about. When you write a love song, you don't want it to feel like it could be just about anybody. You want it to feel like it really belongs to that specific person. The next thing that you want to think about with your song is what you want it to sound like harmonically. So you can start off with really simple things like, what does your partner like to listen to? Are they more fond of upbeat songs? Are they more fond of songs that are a little bit slower and more somber? Do they like a verse chorus or a verse refrain? You can kind of pick apart the actual songs that they like to listen to and kind of model it off of that kind of structure. But you don't have to do that. That's also totally optional, as is just about everything I talk about on this channel. Another good tip for the harmony specifically is to think about what type of relationship you have with the character. Or if you're writing from the perspective of another character, you can think of what kind of relationship they might have together. If you're in a really emotionally stable, secure, chilled out, comfortable relationship, you're probably going to choose a chord progression that's a little bit more stable, or something that feels comfortable for you, something that feels easy to play or feels pretty common, doesn't really have many surprises, and that's totally cool. If you want to surprise your partner a little bit, or surprise the person you're writing for a little bit, you can kind of mess around with different harmony. You can play around with chord progressions that you haven't necessarily played before. Throw yourself out there, do something new and different. And that way the prosody of the song matches your intention. Keep in mind that a happy, comfortable relationship is going to have a very, very different sound to it than that unrequited love that someone is just sort of trying to figure out. If it helps you, you can start making a list of all the things you love about this character or this partner. You can also start by bubble mapping different memories. Or if you're Shakespeare, you can start by talking about how she's kind of weird looking, but how that's a good thing, because it means that you actually care about her. Most importantly, don't let anybody give you the words to describe your relationship. Start thinking about the things that feel really genuine to you. Start by writing from your heart and just go from there. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, chat with me in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. I hope there are so many love songs to write in your future.
Yeah, being genuine is so important.
Yeah, and again, metaphors and cliches. I mean, both of them were kind of pointing at that when you're writing a love song. Be careful how, and it's true. I've had that problem with metaphors, not just with love songs, but you know when you're trying to say something but you don't want to say it directly, so you try to turn it into a metaphor, but then you start wondering, is the listener going to understand where I'm coming from? Are they going to see the analogy?
Yeah, and that's why it's all about the setup, and it's all about making that scene to kind of bring them in to the story. And then the story is the other important thing, where a lot of times they're mentioning a song that's like a list. I love your hair, I love your eyes, I love your this. Like making just a list of things. There's no story there. It's just listing off a bunch of things that you like. It's just a bunch of attributes.
Well, she made a good suggestion there at the end, saying make a thought map. Make a little thought bubble of like different moments in the relationship, and you might actually piece together your song that way.
Well, even going back to the first video that we watched tonight with the thought or the ladder, taking just two random, whether it's random words or two specific words, and then just building 10 words that kind of have something to do with that, and then, building out from there. It just gives you something to start with that's not a blank page, which I really liked about that.
Or in this case, where she was talking more like writing, considering your specific target audience, like the person you're writing the song for, her suggestions were like, I'm going to write a love song for my Valentine's, and then you're not worried about your audience listener. You're actually thinking of the intended target that you're writing about.
Yep. And it depends on the kind of love song that we're talking about. Like you were saying, whether it's the love of things in general, love of, beautiful days, sunny days, you can have love of lots of different things. The love song doesn't have to be, like you said, about a person. But if it is about a person, then definitely focusing on that person in particular is important.
Yeah, and not getting into the cheesy focus, like when she was saying like these are the eyes, and certain things in love songs have been done to death. So if you're just going to sing about how pretty her eyes are and how pretty her hair is, you're not writing something new at that point.
It's more to me about noticing the little things, honestly. So I love the way you curl your hair while you're reading your book, something like that. Like
like
just
the wonderful
things like that.
Wonderful Tonight approach. Like
exactly.
He like just noticed the little things in her that just made him feel wonderful tonight. Like great way to write to a lover.
And that is one of my favorites, for example. Yeah, good one. Wonderful Tonight.
My
like
love song idol is actually like my number one.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, for me, the whole Unplugged album, as an example, I could put that on anytime and just listen through it and play along with it and all that. A lot of good stuff on there.
Yeah. So this was a nice little find this week, her channel.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that, definitely.
And I will be checking back on there and like, are you a good songwriter? I mean, you know, we will be continuing with some of these songwriting themes, so I will be back, April.
Yes, indeed. We'll definitely check it out. Yeah, as we said, I think we were saying that we probably had time for that one and probably call it after that. We do have others that we didn't get to, but you know, we could either get to one more or we could be done for the evening, and we'll get to these others next time around.
We're building up an arsenal.
Yeah, we are indeed. In this case, a lot about songwriting. We have different topics that we go over all the time. So, you know, we did talk about...
If anybody out there has suggestions or show topics they'd like to see, let me just fire this up real quick.
Definitely. Where to find us. Because you can find us. You can be part of what forms the show, and that's even better.
Well,
get suggestions in here.
We have our LinkedIn now, and or our link tree, and this would be a great. See, we'll log in.
Great way to consolidate all the links that we have, because Tony's gone through the effort of getting all these set up for us, which is bonus. Getting everything consistent for us, having ways to get a hold of us in all kinds of ways to get content on the show or talk about different topics, see things that you want covered. Comment about shows that you've seen, all kinds of stuff. Tell us how bad my camera angle is. So I fall out of frame. We'll get it all. And like I said, we had some others that we didn't get to tonight, but we'll definitely get to them next time. Other things for songwriting, as well as some other things. I think we had one on microphones as well that we'll probably get to another time, like we did the headphones tonight. But for microphones, look at some different things there.
I was like, come on, Elon, I wasn't talking shit about Apple this time.
And he's back.
There we go.
And there's the link tree, yeah.
Yes, here we go.
Bring it on in.
So I'm going to pop this link into the chat. And for any of you that want to send us any ideas, we do have a submission form here. And this is what we're going to start using.
Right there, all the links you can have.
There we go. So that is a link we are going to start to push, because it's a link to everything. We have all our platforms. We're on BandLab. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Twitch.
Getting everywhere.
Twitter.
Yeah.
So nice and consolidated. And for those who want to share an idea or pick a topic, come here, fill this out. You can even, if you got some files you want us to take a look at or a video, you can even upload up to 100 megabytes.
Yep. And we will check it out. A lot of topics to cover, and we've covered a lot before. We'll cover a lot again. There's a lot of topics that deserve a few rounds of going through, because the first time through we might get a few things that we cover, and then the next time there'll be new content that we'll find, new sources, new people to go. Like tonight, found a new source for us there, which is excellent. Be able to find some more information.
Yeah, sometimes the coolest shit I find is the shit other people ask me about.
Yep, exactly.
So
it's like, well, I haven't looked into that before. Yeah. Definitely good to get suggestions from outside. And always a pleasure. Glad to have Jake anytime. Always welcome. Yeah, good to hear him playing.
That was a treat.
Indeed.
We will have to have him back.
Yes, indeed. And until then, we'll probably say, until next time, from talking shh with Glenn and Tony.
Don't forget Ange in the back.
And Ange right there, hiding out, looking over your shoulder.
Night, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Good night. A little ambient noise, yeah?
So now you're grabbing some BandLab clips.
Now for me, that would also be something where I would use like volume automation and like bring that from the bottom, like bring it in and then bring it back out. Kind of.
And these are the kinds of sounds you can stretch. With this AI, like stretching it actually can be cool.
Oh, that was perfect for the interlude too.
Ended right in the right
I
spot.
didn't even notice 40. I didn't even realize the texture faded out at the interlude until it happened. I'm like, wait a minute.
Sometimes you just, it was just meant to be that way.